Yeah, I mean it's incredibly borked in that respect.
When you're a Chad, when you're a Chad, they let you do it.
Yeah, it was funny too because like T.R. Hudson had sent me someone's. It was a great tweet, but he was just like, doctor, I'm like really upset. I'm trying to find. Yeah, it's from the guy named Whiskey Punk. Man goes to the doctor, says he's depressed. He says his timeline is full of porn clips. Doctor says the treatment is simple: only follow base trad accounts. But doctor, I already follow them.
Yeah, it's funny. Sylvia trying to get with Frank Castle. That's pretty funny. Like they look good together too. I mean that would be. I don't know. It's really weird. Like the only Chad. Like I don't know. I guess Vance is kind of a Chad, but Frank Castle just takes it up to the next level. But if you have clout and you're an asshole and you're confident, they let you do it, folks. They let you do it. So
yes, eventually you're going to attract enough of groupies to let you do awful things that one day you will regret in a tell-all. But until then, you'll enjoy it anyway. That's the nature of niche celebrity.
I'm a racist frog. I'm a racist frog. I'm a racist frog.
It's like that bit from Dan Baltic's story last week, I'm a racist frog, I'm a racist frog. Say it and give me all your money until I threaten to dox you, your diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. Not that, it's a disguise. Like I guarantee you that guy he created, he is like, it's a hyperstition. That person now exists.
Yeah.
In the discussion, there is some disgusting findom woman out there that is threatening to dox racist frogs on the internet.
Another Achilles incident.
Yeah. I can't take this. Yeah, I can't take this anymore. I'm not going to repeat the whole.
No,
we didn't start the fire.
Yeah, I like how people are dunking on the Spurg Doctor because the good doctor. Sorry, because like my parents watched. Well, my old man like he's quit after a few seasons because he like realized that every medical drama is like POZ'd, right? So but my old my parents would watch that Good Doctor when it was just like. I don't know if it is a Canadian show, but it's like for some reason people didn't know about it that much. And I'm so glad people are dunking on it because it's such an atrocious like
no, it's American. It's from ABC.
Yeah, but like for some reason, like I don't know, I guess it had more of an audience in Canada, but it's just like because like CTV picked up the syndication. So
okay.
Yeah, and it's like oh, it's so terrible.
Did we really rip this off? Did we rip? I think this is a rip off. Yeah,
it's off of a Korean show.
Yeah, ripped off a South Korean series of the same
Cody
name.
Browning is correct. It's spiritually Canadian.
It's spiritually Canadian. Oh, so true. So true.
Yeah. The diversity, the like every episode is either about like trans rights or that other medical procedure that mutilates things.
Well, it wasn't. So this is like twice in the last 3 weeks I've seen The Good Doctor on my timeline. The first one was The Good Doctor, this autistic white male, stating the obvious that this person is clearly a man.
Yeah, I saw that episode, but like, okay, that's like one clip divorced from the whole show.
Oh, I'm sure. No, yeah. I'm sure. But like, what an encapsulation, right? Of like hyper-aware, pattern noticing white male being told by all of his expertly credentialed POC accoutrements that no, he's actually wrong and he needs to do better. And now we have the recent rant thing here. But it's, like Brent Taylor says, every show either becomes a cop drama or a medical drama.
Yeah, it's
true.
And
like, this is why, if you ever, like, this is, Law & Order is the most notorious example of this. Law & Order would make you think that, like, New York City is full of just, like, an army of, like, organized white criminals that are, like, killing and pillaging and raping the city of New York. And these are the dedicated, detectives that investigate these vicious felonies. But no, it really isn't. If we look at the stats, and you'll never get a
they'll do an episode.
They'll never do a statistically accurate Law and Order. And anytime that there is an episode with like a minority, it's like here's your big lesson about racism or why it's actually the white lady who framed them. A white woman's tears, and it's just like I think I'm done.
They did that one episode of the false allegation, and they had to like pad it so much in the end. I think it was what was his name? not the Italian. Was he Italian or no? He was something else. No, he may have been Italian. The Carisi, where he's like, why didn't she get charged for lying and like, trying to ruin this guy's life? And Mariska Hargitay just is like, oh, because that'll discourage other victims from coming forward. And then there was a viral tweet this week about, it's like, we're going back to the 2010s. We never left. We never left 2015 YouTube, YouTube manosphere people against articles from Exo Jane and Jezebel. We never left.
Yeah, it's like really we haven't left 2008 either. I mean, we have a writer's strike. There's a foreign war going on, and I saw what was his name? Like I'm trying to remember it. He played the swordsman in Princess Bride.
Oh God.
I'm just gonna look up. Yeah. But anyways,
the writer's strike.
Mandy Patinkin was out there going out of his way to go about the writer's strike. It's like, without these guys, we have nothing. And it's just like, what? Probably, right? But
they'll get AI to make.
Well, eventually we'll get there. Eventually,
yeah.
I cannot wait for the first ChatGPT generated sitcom or television show, and then halfway through, some human actors like, actually, as a large language model, I am not programmed to talk about XYZ, and that's where you would institute or insert the politically correct messaging of the day. But I liked the one that I picked out for the little thumbnail image was because it was the woman holding the picket sign saying, because ChatGPT doesn't have childhood trauma.
Whoa.
And on one instance, yes, trauma is the basis by which people can overcome and write about things and stories. That tends to be the case. But if there's been any indication, right, of what the internet and writing has become, I think about like long Tumblr posts or blog spots or
Tumblr.
deviant art like stories of people posting about their like childhood trauma, which
trauma core, that was the whole thing on
but like how do they cope? Well, they've turned it into like a some form of either sexual degeneracy or they've idealized it and fetishized that people are just naturally miserable, generally miserable, and we must fetishize misery. And so every television show, it's always about a guy that's down on his luck. Like 2014 onward really did have this mix of this, because again, the rant is coming, folks. One of these days.
Very millennial core.
But it is, because like around 2014, you get like shows like BoJack Horseman, and then like the Will Arnett also did a show where he played like his IRL stuff as like this like down on his luck guy, alcoholic. And at the same time, you also had
there was that show with the trans person where it was like the geo-locked. What's that game where you like LARP in real life, but it's like you have to find clues and what do they call it?
Geocaching?
No, it was like geocaching, but it was like a fantasy. It was like a fantasy game where they made a mini series on it. This was like a real thing, and they had like a trans actress.
Oh man!
And it was the Canadian actor. He didn't do anything for a decade, but in the end, instead of like the game like being completed, it was about like it was like a whole metaphor for his alcoholism or something like that. And it was like a big piss off. Me and my old man were watching the show. And it was a pretty good, decent like show. It was like just like four normies that got together to complete this game. I think Andre 3000, what's his name? Andre, he was in it. And in the end, it was just sort of like this trauma thing of like, I was an alcoholic and that's why I haven't like done a production in like over a decade. Oh God, what was it called? The something society, I forget. Anyways, go ahead, Prude. Go with your ramps.
Because there was also another. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it had what's his name? Everyone, I cannot remember actors' names for the life of me. God bless. I'm sorry. But it was the story about like four people. I think it was like on a New Year's Eve or a Christmas party where they're going to go and all jump off a building and off themselves, and then they opt not to, and they all have this little life story.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it had the guy it had a former Bond actor, and of course Aaron, what's his name from Breaking Bad. And it was just like this way of commiseration. And there's been a lot of that since 2014, which is my big thing that kind of has irked me, is this trend of, you had Wilfred, you had the other shows that I've listed, and it's just this disastrous mess of shows about people being miserable, because that's all we know how to write about, is being miserable and being in these like self-fulfilling, reinforced, self-propagating feedback loops of being miserable. Because if you are already depressed, if you're already miserable, you're going to engage in social media feedback loops and consume content that does it. This is why listening to music will do it.
I have a counterpoint. Like, I have a counter example. Okay, so we have a lot of Leafs in the chat, right? Like, I'm a fellow Leaf. I can't believe the Maple Leafs pulled that off last night. I couldn't believe it. I thought Florida was going to deal them a merciful fate. But yeah, we got Internet Friend, we got Volpe. I wonder if Volpe, if that's a reference to Paul Volpe, the infamous Ontario mafia don who died mysteriously in a trunk. They found his body in a trunk in a Lester Pearson airport. Brett, you could say gay, but anyways, there was this Canadian indie film that became like very well regarded, and it was made in, I believe, the year 2000, and it was about this therapist who wanted to quit being a therapist, and this group of like 4 misfits who were like, about to sunset, and like they had all this thing, and he like slowly like goes through the process of I forget what its name was, but you could find this out. But it's like he's a therapist. He slowly goes through the process of like unpacking the trauma, but in the end, he realizes that all of them are dead, and they all died from horrific accidents. Like, I think he died in a car crash or whatever, and that they're sort of like in the afterlife, and the way to get to move on. Was it called A Long Way Down?
That was the movie I was referencing.
The other movie. Yeah, but like, so in the end, they realized that they're all dead, but in order to cross over, they have to like unpack their trauma and move on. And so I think like that was a very good example, because like, like I said before, Canada really does unleash a lot of like media trends that people don't realize. You could argue that even Gamergate, and the whole thing that happened was because of like these Canadian e-celebs being funneled to America by Ezra Levant. But yeah, so the movie, it's sort of different in that, in that time, you still had a space for like transcending your own personal trauma, and then a switch flipped in like around the 2010s or even before, where then media became this like saccharine sort of like morose pity party, where it's like nobody could ever transcend their trauma, and it basically is part and parcel of who you are. But I'll try to find this movie. I'll try to find the title of it. It's definitely real, but it's an amazing movie. I believe it won awards and everything here in Canada. So
no, Louis P. It was not K-Pax. That's with Jeff Bridges and Kevin Spacey, and that's an interesting movie in and of itself, right? Yeah.
K-Pax. Yeah, that was a weird one though.
That was like what, 95, right? Where it's just like Kevin Spacey claims to be an alien.
I forgot Grimes is a Leaf.
That's all Leafs.
No, but it's funny because Grimes recently unfollowed Spurgler Acolyte because like Reddit made a big deal about her liking Spurgler Acolyte tweets.
Oh man. Kevin Spacey Innocence Fund donate. No. I'm not donating to any Innocence Fund of Kevin Spacey. God. But if he wants to restart his career, I mean, more power to him. Him and Louis C.K. are probably going to try it all out. She's a commie, of course she's a Leaf.
Oh man.
Oh, that's a wild ride. But yes, welcome everyone to episode 42 of the Digital Archipelago. I hope that everyone is doing well. And I guess this is what we're all here to do, is try and find out why on earth these writers are on strike. But yeah, how are you, Gio?
I'm all right. I'm trying to keep busy. It's been a slog, but man, I'm trying to find this film. I'm like going crazy, but it was made in the year 2000. So, but anyways, yeah, I don't know. I realized that it's probably healthy to like not pay attention to Twitter all the time.
Yes.
I've realized in sort of like a very special episode of Content Might with Kevin Spacey. I'd love to interview Kevin Spacey. I know that's probably unoptical, but he is like one of the best actors of the recent era. But no, I've been trying to, write my book, and I came back to Twitter, but I realized that like it's probably healthy for you to like step away and realize that you really do like waste a lot of time like just like scrolling, and like I don't know, it's weird, but I have a particular mind where I have to be motivated to do like something, or I have to like feel in the mood for it, and like the slightest thing can sometimes just like put me off keister, so I don't know. No, I'm not thinking of The Sixth Sense. No, it's like a group of people that they all died, but they're in the afterlife. I'll try to find it. I swear. But how have you been, man?
I'm good. This is show 2 out of 3 today. I just recorded with Pete Quinones earlier this morning about Ted Kaczynski. We're doing this, and then I'll be live with Patrick Casey later this afternoon to talk about the state of Elon Musk Twitter, the Tucker Carlson stuff, and I'm sure we'll get into that too today. But I wanted to talk about this stuff because the writer strike's been going on for a while, and I planned this episode out like last week before all the Tucker Carlson news. And this is the second major writer strike, which happened in 2007 and ended in 2008, and we're right on the brink of probably another recession. There's also a war going on in a foreign land, and why not talk about the state of modern television, because it's only gotten worse since then. Not too many major television shows, but some of their complaints I can definitely understand with, right? Like one of the ones that they were talking about was called the mini room situation, which is about studios hiring a small group of writers to develop a series and write several scripts over 2 or 3 months. But because they're not officially an ordered series, the studios pay them less. And it makes me think about like adjunct professors and things like that definitely exist in respects to like college education and whatnot. But I mean, hey, like it's not like the content has been very good. It's been very hard to find a lot of gems in this respect. Like, let's take a traditional role and then like we're gonna put our respective politics into it. Now you can find Yellowstone merch in every Bucky's across Texas. It's kind of nuts.
Oh, cut Yellowstone merch. Did they end? They ended the Yellowstone.
Yeah, I know, because I think Costner realized he's the face of Hicklib means.
Isn't Costner a Hicklib in real life?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they all have to vote Democrat. It's probably but no, what's funny about the writer's strike is that, okay, I think like you were saying, like time is a flat circle. I think we have to remember back to the original writer's strike back in God, what year was that?
2007, when Breaking Bad, 30 Rock, Ugly Betty, Desperate Housewives, Chuck, Heroes, Family Guy. I wonder if that's what really sent Heroes into the shitter, because that first season was like the perfect J.J. Abrams setup for a mystery box.
Yeah.
How could we ever survive without the creative minds that gave us Captain Marvel and The Last Jedi? Well, yeah, it's the whole point, right?
It was The Mandalorian. No, yeah, well, Heroes, my parents watched that show. I never watched Heroes, but
I watched the first season, and then we caught up with it after we moved back to the States. And we're like, whatever happened to that show? And then you're like, oh, it really went to shit, like right after that first season.
No, but if you remember, okay, so the writer's strike, this was just around like the early YouTube, right? So what happened was they were raiding the internet for content, and this is where you get all of those like first gen YouTube celebs. And no, the film's not called Heart and Soul. I'm telling you, it's I have to find it. But anyways, it's like those first gen celebs like Fred and you remember Pruane?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, Pruane 2 Forever. Like he did the he was again another Leaf. He did the whole like thing with who's that rapper that was really big back in the day, 50 Cent, where he met 50 Cent, and he did like some of those early videos were funny as hell, but then he like left the internet because like when he got older, like the charm just like wore out, right? But anyways, Pruane was big, all those like early gen YouTubers. But what's very interesting is that when you look at what happened with the writer's strike, where all of these like talk shows were rating YouTube for content, and it really did launch the careers of some very, very interesting people, to say the least. I mean, some of them were, you know, just pure coal, and nobody remembers them anymore. But it was interesting because I think it was the first, it really was like the first time you could see that the internet was sort of colonizing what had been traditional analog media with like the television reality. And I feel like they were sort of, there was like, if you look at like those shows at the time of the writer's strike, especially like the late night ones or whatever, the talk shows, it was like sort of a weird cartography of like the beginning of the end for traditional media. And then like there's this one tweet that my good friend Suspicious Pancake said, which was that when like millennial, like when, you know, Chapo people or whatever, when they tell you to touch grass, that's like reaffirming the boomer analog television verse, he called it, because it's like television is not like television divorces you from reality, but in a very different way that's much more regimented than the internet. It's in this way, it's like the boomer generation's media, and hence why millennials are spiritual boomers, because when we tell you to touch grass, we're reaffirming that analog view of reality, that media is not this like select time zone thing that you have to catch up with, that everyone watched at the same time. Everyone fundamentally watched the same sitcoms and talk shows and so forth. But the internet is like a different shift in reality. And then when you have those like sort of the cross valence between those two, then you have one will eventually, like the reality that one will eventually colonize the other. And that's what the original writer's strike was like. The original writer's strike was essentially the first salvo of internet time taking over television reality. And I think like we haven't recovered since. We have like the writer's strike has been going on forever. Like the writer's strike never happened in the Mojarian sense. You know, there always was a writer's strike. There never was a writer's strike. So I think like this writer's strike would be quite different. I feel like it would be like less impactful because nobody cares anymore. Like nobody really fundamentally cares about the television reality. And in fact, it's like the people that still, like as we've seen with this meme around the Spurg doctor, sorry, that's very offensive. The good doctor, as we've seen with this meme, it's like people that still watch, like are still caught in TV world and boomer TV world. It's like they're used as fodder for memes in the online world, which is more like Zoomer coded or like, you know, Xennial and Zoomer coded, because like early millennials are still like caught in that boomer reality. And it's very funny when you see that now we still have, we have another writer's strike, but now there's no more like, we are the big platform, we're the only game in town, we're going to mine this like fugitive outlaw mud show called the internet. Now the internet is like what captivates most people. And it's like the TV networks that are in this position where they can't exactly just play, I don't know, like they can't just like take you like streamers like from Twitch and like put them on the little screen. You know, it's like, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they could do that. They could, I don't know. It's like instead of having Colbert, they'll have Hassan Piker or whatever. They'll just play streams of Hassan Piker. But it's like,
well, I mean, that isn't like that just sort of affirms your theory that is sort of the 1.0 writer's strike that came out of it was internet content. I mean, the earliest, I mean, what a perfectly timed, you know, cavalcade of events, the writer's strike 2007, the year before YouTube, and then sort of the emergence of the earliest e-celebrities. I mean, as much as everyone wants to forget the memories of like, that Fred character screaming that Weezer's in his room. I mean, he was one of the first like major sort of like celeb things that crossed like 1 million channels and things like that. So I mean, it certainly happens in that respect. So I mean, and we're still here, right? Like what now it's just the streaming content, which I mean, on one hand, like it has to be a constant series of hooks and dramas that people can spend 8 hours a day. And I certainly don't think it's a coincidence that like one of Eddie Bernays' descendants is the founder of Netflix, but it does illustrate, right? Like, okay, there's going to be a gap or there's going to be a pause in writing, which I wonder how that'll affect things like the MCU, because I think their BBEG for this arc of the MCU is that Kang character who the actor recently got in trouble for like sexual harassment and things like that. So it will be an interesting world to exist in. But I mean, like, this doesn't mean abandon all hope ye who enter here. I think that you also need to, I think that also what a Catherine D take here. But like, I subscribe to the idea that if you watch conventional media, you'll retain touch with the normies. I mean, this is why water cooler talk and just talking and having a social life matters. Being out in the public, like work from home, I think it's just been equally damning, right? Because if your home space now becomes your workspace, there's an invasion of that distinction between the work and the office and the home. And now all of a sudden you can't really normalize in such a way. But yes, there is social programming, consensus formation, echo chamber dynamic going on there just as much as there is on Twitter, which is why, again, that consensus formation, right? Like the Bucky's has all that sort of Dutton Ranch, Wyoming stuff, from, the whole series of thing.
Yeah. Which one?
The whole Yellowstone stuff, like, and I mean, like, but it seems absolutely fitting, right? Because if you've ever been, I know you haven't, maybe one day you will, now that the vax mandate's over, Geo, and you can come to the United States. But like, like if you walk into a Bucky's, it's the live, laugh, love of gas stations and sort of like little bits of Americana, because there literally is a whole section for women to buy plates and door signs and door stoppers. The live, laugh, love plate is very real. And alongside, brisket and things like that with clean bathrooms, but also
isn't Bucky's like the king of like that, like older, like Route 66 version of America, and kitschy little knickknacks. And
yeah, it's there, and that's what it's for. And I love it to death because it's, clean space, reasonably priced, to quote Agent Cooper, and they're absolutely delightful. It's like that bit from Murdoch. It's like the last stand of implicit white identity is inside of Bucky's.
Oh God,
it's true. If you walk foot in one, you're like, yep, so this looks about white. And you just can't help but smile as they tell you welcome in every time you walk through the doors. It's fantastic.
Bucky's, man,
you're a long ways away from any Bucky's location, I guarantee.
Yeah,
you.
Probably.
Is
it mostly a southern thing?
Yeah, it's in the south.
Okay.
Yellowstone should end with the super volcano caldera erupting and destroying everything. What's that Hakan tweet? Keep praying. Focus all your attention on Yellowstone.
Focus on the magma core. We can end this thing. We can end it forever. Pray to Yellowstone. Focus on the magma core. That was the era of like great tweets. I know people like nowadays, because I think like because the
are you going to be a Twitter historian, Geo?
Maybe one day. Someone asked me that in my Content Minded. By the way, go to my channel after this and listen to the latest Content Minded I dropped yesterday. It was another Q&A one. No, I think it's because the old Marnites probably don't, ushered in a different picture of the political right. But I know that like a lot of people think that the whole like in a woods, like Amprim, Kaczynski wave, like the sort of primitivist romanticist version of the E-right, that's like cringe in Norwood now. But what was interesting is like it did produce like a lot of great Twitter posters, like my friend Trash World Citizen, who I also have a Content Minded with before he got banned. And there was that one tweet he said, I remember, I am a dog locked in a car. America is the car in the middle of the, what did he say? I am a dog locked in a hot car and America is the car or something like that. Like he had like these great like throwaway lines that are just like incredible. Like of course like the famous ones like we're fucking things up that cannot be easily unfucked. Like that was, but I feel like as time goes on, like there's obviously like a different picture of the E right now. But anyways, what specifically about the writer's strike where did you want to go into? Why is it happening though? Is it just they want more money?
Well, isn't that always why?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me go just slightly. So no, they primarily over things like royalty is the mini room. They don't get treated like a traditional writer's room. While the WGA has argued that mandatory staffing duration of employment is necessary to preserve the writer's room, it is in reality a hiring quota that is incompatible, said the studios. But there's a desire for the writers also want companies to agree to guarantee that artificial intelligence will not encroach on writers' credits and compensation. Such guarantees are a non-starter, the Studio Alliance has said, instead suggesting that an annual meeting on the advances of technology. AI raises a hard, important, creative, and legal questions for everyone, the studio said on Thursday. It's something that requires a lot more discussion, which we have committed to. And then, of course, the WGA head's response was go pound sand. This is exactly what they offered us with the internet in 2007. Let's chat about it every year until it progresses so far. There's nothing that we can do about it. And so, part of this does feel like the response that some cab drivers have had with respects to Uber and things like that in the UK. But at the same time, right? Like that's certainly something that will have to be posed with, right? Like I don't think you can just strike and not write anything because eventually you can hire people that will do it for cheap and we'll use a large language model and try and make something out of nothing. And with so much of this being iterative, right? Like a lot of the writing is nowadays, like it wouldn't be too hard to keep things kind of afloat or going.
No, but I think like what really like what is it like about these like big like series? Like I think like there is a sort of like there's a sort of like zombification of all media now when it comes to, again, the little screen, Hollywood, maybe not so much with film, but I noticed like with like the small screen with series work, it's like a lot of these ones you could basically just, if you have a franchise that that is gone on for a while, you can basically plug in any element and come out like even like in not just a GPT program, but like any sort of like creative tool you can use. You could just like plug them in and like here's all the elements, here's all the characters, how they would respond. You really don't have to write anything exciting for it to keep going. Like that's the definition of coal. Like everything is coal now. The Simpsons is like a perfect example of that. Because if you have such a long series, like you could just plug in any plot device and it would work. Because people know exactly every single element of that series of events that's going to happen, right? Yeah. So most like Yellowstone, you could extend a plot. Like this is why, like having watched The Walking Soy, The Walking Dead, you can like extend whole seasons of nothing but filler and coal, but then at the very end, you have something a bit more interesting that keeps people hooked. And if you have and they realize that people really are kind of like sheep, and if you have a big franchise, they will like consume their slop and they'll keep doing it. And it's funny because you'd figure like with such a limited bandwidth, like how much it takes to make these productions nowadays and like such a low return on investment in the reality of like Netflix and torrenting and streaming services that like you'd figure like for the fact that they don't get as much money out of it that they used to, that they would basically focus. Like this is something I thought about forever, is that why is it that everything is a cop drama? Everything is like I don't know, I guess like once in a while you'll have like a zombie drama or whatever. Everything's either a cop drama or medical drama, or it's some kind of like spin on something else. Why can't, like, the fact that they're not getting as much of a return investment, the fact that media is so hard to produce now, why would they just produce like quote unquote sure things when you could like go out on a limb and like, actually try to creative max and try to like do something original? But of course, doing something original is impossible nowadays. So I don't know, maybe it's a self-defeating question because I know the answer. The answer is like you have to spend money on things that are sure, things that you know the average like the average like totally brain dead person is going to like consume and form an identity around. And this is why like with Disney and all that, like why this chain and this cycle is so evil, is because like you could just take any intellectual property and like just extrapolate it. Like Disney, like look at what they did with Star Wars. Like I'm not a fan of Star Wars, but still like it's like you can make any spin-off with Star Wars. You could make anything. You could focus on some like obscure planet or whatever, and it's like I don't know, you could like there's so much you could do with it that it just becomes cool. Like give me the slop, I love Captain Marvel. Yeah, exactly. Like it's true what Scorsese said, that cinema sorry, excuse me, especially small screen stuff, they become like an amusement park. It's like you can enter it freely. It stays the same. Fundamentally, it's the same experience, but you're given the allotment of that experience rather than the originality or the uniqueness or the aura of that production, right? In the Benjamin sense. You're no longer given that aura. You're given like, this is the amusement park called Fast and Furious, or this is the amusement park of Star Wars Land or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't have a facticity. Its facticity is the fact that you enter into it freely and it's familiar, but you're given that like corn syrup high of like experience rather than immersing yourself in media that is a self-contained world unto itself, like what movies and film should be. But now it's no longer a self-contained thing. You enter it, you exit it, and it just goes on forever, like an amusement park. Like what's the oldest ride at Disneyland? I don't know. Oldest ride at Six Flags, whatever. It's like, yeah. Anyways, go. Sorry, I'm
no. I mean, that was good. I think there's a lot.
I need the coffees.
Yeah, you need your coffees. Yeah, the Best of Orlando will tell us that some of the oldest Disney parks that are still around are Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World After All, the Carousel of Progress, Jungle Cruise, and Liberty Square Riverboat.
When did the first Pirates of the Caribbean come out?
The first Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
2005?
2003.
I was off by a few years.
Caribbean. When did it? Yeah, Curse of the Black Pearl came out same time in 2003 as... Oh, and I felt so bad because it's the same year that Master and Commander came out.
Oh my God!
And it was funny because in an interview, they were like, yeah, we actually finished filming Master and Commander like before Pirates of the Caribbean came out, but they had so much like post-production stuff to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, just an absolute mess. But yeah, Keira Knightley maxing. Oh yes, 2003 Keira Knightley was something else. But there's definitely.
What's she doing now?
I could not tell you. I don't know what the last thing that she was going.
Yeah,
Pirates of the Caribbean came out 20 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yes, Rachel Mandrell. There, like Cudahy talks about the ordeal of civility, but no one ever talks about the ordeal of aging. But yes, things are 20 years old. What is she up to nowadays? I'm not looking her up. What's her latest movie? I suppose I should look that up.
There are people in the chat that were born in
Boston Stranglers. What the last thing she was in?
Whoa!
And she has an OBE. Goodness gracious!
Oh my
God!
Good
for her. Yeah, she was in Pride and Prejudice and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, what a weird time to
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice.
Excessive Liberty was born in 2003. I remember 2003.
Oh my! I remember 2003.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Whew.
She's in perfume ads now. Ace. I think Ace was born in 2001 or 2002. Ace, when were you born?
It's a weird thing to think about.
I know, eh?
Like if your birthday doesn't start with 19, I don't. Or what your birth year doesn't start with a 19, I get weird.
No, shut up. You weren't born in 1999. Come on. You're lying to me. You're lying to me.
Bro,
Ace.
You look 12.
You look like... Oh my God. Oh my god, 1999 was a great year, man. It was like one of the last.
Oh yeah,
years.
she was in that. KJ was in the movie with Benedict Cumberbatch with the Alan Turing.
Oh yeah,
that was the last thing I saw her in.
Oh man.
Oh man, yeah.
Black Horse is older than me. He's 34.
34. Yeah, but the Black Horse is kind of settled in his life. He's like he may be 34, but he's like 44 in terms of having his shit together.
How old is Ace? How old's your mother? That's.
Oh man!
Mean, they probably did.
Yes, The Imitation Game. That was the name of the film. That was
Imitation
the last thing
Game.
I saw
that
with,
one, yeah.
Actually, like, here's the thing: is like Benedict Cumberbatch has ruined most movies because every time I see him, I'm just like, oh, it's that guy. So when I watched 1917 in theaters, I was like, oh, it's that guy at the very end because he plays the general that he delivers the message to. And don't get me wrong, like he looks the part, and he looks like straight out of World War I. Like he looks like the kind of officer that would tell you to go die in the saw and go over the top, despite the fact all things are hopeless. And then, but like, oh, it's over. Like I was like immediately sucked out of the movie. I was like, oh, that's it. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is crazy. But Keira Knightley, I don't know. She could gain weight. I mean, what's Keira Knightley look like now? Let me see.
Go look up I guess she's in the Boston Strangler. You could look that up and find out. But yeah. Daniel. Oh, look at that.
She's still pretty thin.
Actor noticed the original series and bought the rights for his production company. Oh, so Daniel Day Kim. What else has he been in?
Yeah, that's the whole meme. Like he put himself as like the Chad in the Good Doctor scene.
Ah, well, yeah. Who wouldn't want to throw subtle ethnic issues into television shows, especially when you own the company? Oh, he played as Johnny Gat in the Saints Row video game series. So that's why that little clip sounded familiar. Not that I know him for anything else. And he owns the production company 3AD.
Didn't they ruin Saints Row? Didn't they turn?
Oh yeah. So they had. I don't even know if it's the fourth game because it's like decanonized or whatever.
You could beat someone with a rainbow dildo in Saints Row.
That was like Saints Row 2, or was it just
Saints Row 3? Or no, Saints Row 2. Yeah,
just a giant, disgusting purple phallus to go beat the crap out of people with. I mean, like it was a GTA clone that decided to say, okay, we can't take ourselves seriously after the first one.
Yeah.
So we're just going to turn this onto a full parody, and then they soyed it with like a whole new cast of characters trying to uncover the original Saints Row or whatever. Like even video games have gotten to this point where it's
Saints Row was pretty fun though.
The first three were pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened afterwards. And like this is the thing too, where it's about like video game writing is its own thing. And I wish modern mainstream games, and they'll never go back to it because like voice acting and people want to hear things, quote unquote immersion is about, like, you won't go back to Morrowind where your dialogue options were text-based. And so because you could read things and like more information could be stored, but no, nowadays you've got to look at everything out the way that it is.
No, but like people are saying that the new GTA is going to be like Saints Row, or that's become soyified.
Well, because it's got here's the thing, they haven't released since 2012 is the last GTA game.
Oh, really? That long?
It's been that long. It's been over 10 years.
I remember when people would like troll that one like internet show where the guy's like, what do you want for GTA 5? And then like 4chan like would troll this guy and like they would just say ridiculous
2013
stuff.
It came out. 2013. So it's been 10 years since it came out. But what I mean is like, did you ever play that by chance?
I didn't play that one. I played Vice City. I played GTA 4, and I didn't play I only played San Andreas because my friend had it. But no, I only played Vice City and GTA 4. But like I was gonna say is like people like were complaining about it being ridiculous, but GTA kind of always was ridiculous. Like in the sense of like when they tried to do gritty realism with GTA 4. People didn't like it, which I thought it was a great game. I thought it was a great story, but like, I thought Nico Bellic was a great character, but it's just like, but anyways, yeah, you had a point about GTA.
Well, okay, so like the world of GTA 5, which is clearly shitting on Los Angeles. If you were to go into it and play the story, like the parody that it's getting at is what what kills me, right, is that you have like social media called Life Invader, like programmers are all like these just like nerdy guys with programming and like a porn addiction. And the culture, it feels frozen in time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it hasn't aged a day because it is incredibly like
they had juggalos.
Well, yeah, but I mean, outside of say like some issues like transgenderism and the situation of like Trump, not much has changed in that like weird Los Angeles culture bit that it's parodying here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, like you have this time capsule in 2013 from 2013, but it's like at the same time, the writing that they're making fun of, nothing has changed since then. And I'm sure someone from Los Angeles in the chat or in the comments will tell me, no, a lot of things have changed. I'm sure that they have. But for the purposes of a parody, you can walk into that world and minus what people would say problematic discussions about the treatment of gay people or transgender people, problematic. Not much has changed in that world that's being made up there.
But that's the brilliance of GTA, is that the little nuances, like Ace mentioned Laszlo maxing. That was one of my favorite parts of GTA 3 was the Laszlo show. And then my absolute favorite was in Vice City pressing issues of Maurice Chavez. Because like me and my old man, like he would overhear, I would like drive around just shooting at people just to listen to pressing issues. So my old man would like come in my room and like listen to it. And then we would like, it's on YouTube, you can find it, but that was like, that stuff was so funny, like the public radio. Especially like the one with like the 3 segments are incredible. But go like after this stream, go look up Maurice Chavez pressing issues. That's like, and then of course, like by the time you get to GTA 5, you have like conservative talk radio. The one in GTA 4 was like a based black guy who was like a judge who would like
your Pastor Manning type kind of character.
Yeah.
And then GTA 5 was clearly just like making fun of like Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, pretty much. And then like the soundtrack was great. I didn't like, again, like the radio shows they had in GTA 5 I didn't like that much. I listened to them on YouTube. I don't know, it was like basically just like here's Rush Limbaugh. It didn't have the nuance of like pressing issues or even like GTA 3 radio. Because like in Vice City had other great ones, like the Vice City had the who's that like who's that like famous, she's like the female Andrew Tate. Like I know Brittany Venti was like bombing on her. What's her name?
There's a female version of
not Andrew Tate, but like the one, the pale girl that goes out with black guys that has the thin hair. What's her name? I can't believe Pearl.
I was gonna say Milo Yiannopoulos, but okay.
Pearly things. There is in GTA Vice City, there's this love chat thing, radio show that reminded me so much. I'm like, man, this is basically Pearl before Pearl. And it's like, it's crazy. Oh man. The same format too. It was like hilarious.
This is the woman that interviewed that.
Nick,
okay, gotcha.
I think she took it down early. She put it up later, but then I know the Brittany Venti video was pretty funny. It was pretty hilarious.
Many such cases, milk truck driver. Many such cases.
Man. See, Black Horse remembers love chat. So there you go.
Oh man, check it off your bingo panel, everybody. That's what it's here for. But
I don't know, why is it a based in trad e-girl is always surrounded by scholars, and like in every clip I've seen. Anyways, never mind. Not to bash
it's like that whiskey punk tweet, but but doctor, I already follow all the trad accounts. I still see these things. I mean, like you have to. Yeah, Donald Love for president. Like, I don't know what they're going to do because it's very hard to parody reality without it being with an explicitly progressive lens that's going to do it. I mean, GTA has got that, although GTA 4 was probably the best written story out of all
Donald Love, from GTA.
But I mean,
I'm Donald Love, the owner of the radio station.
It'd be a great way to have a Trump-like character in there.
Oh, they'll probably find a way to have like a Trump-like.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
because it's meant to have like a because it's like it has a Hispanic woman lead or whatever, and I'm sure they'll have some immigration story weaved in there. It'll be there.
Kind of like what's that one with the Purge? It'll be like the Purge. It'll be like the Purge. That'll be like,
and that was a thing that has like that ran itself into a fucking wall, was the Purge. Like, who,
yeah.
you know, the first concept, all crime is legal for 24 hours. Get it out of your system, kids. And then all of a sudden, right? Like it's
a metaphor for rich white people persecuting minorities and immigrants and in America.
And now we can make it a revenge fantasy in the name of this country being made great again. You know, like it's the
new founders. Yeah.
So yeah, the new founders of this country, like the secret American Civil War, the revolution, the one that no one told you about. Like, it's just a disaster.
No, but that's what I mean about the Purge. It's basically like the shitlib, like the shitlib horror fantasy of like the American WASP having power again. That's basically, it's like a retconning of like, what if the WASPs were still in charge? That's basically what the Purge is.
Well, because isn't this the fear of like the new money type?
Yeah,
because like there is a fundamental divide between
what
you would call the nouveau riche, right? Like those characters, those social climbers.
Yeah,
you even see this in sort of like right-wing ecosystems too on Twitter. It's just like, what is the nouveau riche other than anything but wasps?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because
and so like
you can't say about other forms of nouveau riche. You can't mention them.
Yeah, but that's how it is. And so, well, what do you have to deal with? Is a political ecosystem wherein there is both on the right, but mainly on the left, right mainstream. Like, you know, boy, you know, there's that underlying fear of trying to, well, we may actually need you one day, but at the same time, we can't let you have any money or power.
Yeah. No, but then also like the Purge is a metaphor for like the safety of like the like predominantly homogenous white gated community, and like trying to hide from, like, you know what's funny is that woke horror, they always like reaffirm like deeply racist messages, but unintentionally. Like that was like with Get Out. It's like it's reaffirming. It's like, yes, in America, the Lizification of America, people worship a certain demographic of Americans, and actually it's cool and hip and amazing to be them. So it's like they have to appropriate the black bodies.
It's
right?
Cool, hip, and amazing to like hypnoptize black people or whatever. Like, and I mean, is this not the other major thing? Because I mean, Get Out was a black man's interpretation of things, which only tells me a little more about the inner psyche. And then, but he's also like a social climber as well. I mean,
no, but that's what I mean, because Jordan Peele, like that's what I mean. Like Jordan Peele has a very particular mindset that's, I think, like incredibly divorced from like the average like POC in America. You know what I mean? Like that.
Well, he's a rich Hollywood socialite with I think he has a Jewish wife, and it's just like, I mean, he's going to express.
He's like Tara Walker in the art world.
Yeah.
No, but what I mean is like with the Purge, it's like this sort of like implicit admission that in fact like this sort of like the remnants of the WASP in America, that they have to like basically barricade themselves in their house from like the street people, the poor, the Poe in America. Like it's very much like this sort of like third worldist like they're trying to create a third worldist affirmation of like what happens if like all of the, people that are not like WASP or whatever, if they like rise up and take America from the new founders. But really it's an affirmation of the fact that actually when you do have lawlessness in America, these gated homogenous WASP communities, they have to board themselves up because for obvious reasons. So it's like every time like there's like this ultra woke production, it ends up like subtly and inadvertently reaffirming the absolute opposite message. And last point would be that in GTA Vice City, there kind of was a Trumpian figure with like the greasy politician Alex Shrub. Yeah. The episode of Pressing Issues with Alex Shrub was amazing, where he went up against like this trust fund liberal, and he's like talking about how like the one part was is like, okay, Bird Brain, how you gonna vote? How you gonna lower crime in this city? And he goes, well, we could let them off. And he goes, we already let them off. How do you think we cook the books? Oh, like I love Vice because like Florida was like this absolute lawless hellhole in the 80s that was like Vaporwave, you know.
I mean, Vaporwave, Miami Vice, and very real, you know. Yeah. It's like the oh man, what was the two brothers that got in trouble? They were speedboaters.
Oh yeah, I know this story. Yeah. Frank Castle for president.
Yeah, the Los Muchachos guys, right? Falcon and Magluta. Those were the two that were like famous, like speedboat raiders that were like running shit for drugs.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. The San Andreas ad about enjoy being poor. I mean, that's what is minimalism other than like the market reaction to like, well, you've got no money anymore, kid, and you're probably never gonna have money again. Please consider buying a tiny home and/or van.
Oh man, but of course, wasn't San Andreas like hood culture in California in the 90s or the 2000s? That was basically like, yeah.
Now you've got Vapor 95.
I wonder what I think like I hate to say it, they're probably going to make a massive like the new GTA. It's probably going to be like Trump. It's going to be the whole, the whole gamut.
I will say this though, Vapor 95, I don't know who put it in the chat, but they do have the Mac Tonight famous artwork in there.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you could get Moon Man for non-McDonald's reasons if you wanted to wear that around, but I wouldn't recommend that. Oh, it's a nice shirt. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a boys in the hood philosophy about that. I suppose that's definitely true.
That's like that one game that's like total aesthetic maxing of like that very particular like the same like Y2K early 2000s, but like mishmashed with different like video game stuff and different like early 2000s core. What's a video game called that Sam Hyde? It's like that similar like MDE aesthetic.
Like Jet Set Radio Future?
No, it's called Trauma Land or something. Or something land.
Boy, that would be a fun Trauma Land. See if I can find that.
Oh, it's called someone. No, someone will know.
That's a company.
No. It's called something. God, what's it called? It's like something zone or land. Not Depression Quest. It's got that like bleeding psychedelic early 2000 Cruelty Squad. There you go. Thank you, Cruelty Squad. Like that. I love that stuff, man. Because Nobody TM also had some of that similar aesthetic as well.
Man, yeah, I hope people. If I own the game. It's a wild ride, but I'm gonna go find an image that is.
We should review Cruelty Squad one day.
Have you played it?
I have not played it, but I've seen like videos of it.
Okay, well, we're gonna open. I opened up an image, so this is what you're in for if you buy Cruelty Squad. This is what you're in for. This is the game.
Yeah,
this is. You can win if you take SSRIs. Yes, Depression Quest. So true. But yeah, this is what you got. Chex Quest, absolutely. I like all the Doom wads that are out there where you can play as like various like 90s character stuff. We need the Cruelty Squad stream. I recently completed all 3 endings. Oh boy. I have not done that. I played through it once. I did not go through all the way. But yeah, I mean, that's Cruelty Squad.
Yeah, I could see where it comes from. Like
it's a trip.
Quest, like those early map games. I could see like the aesthetic that it comes from. But
blood satellite aesthetics. I wonder if Dimes probably hasn't played a video game in a while. He's a new father, so congratulations to Dimes.
I didn't know that.
Over there. Yeah, I just had a son. Pizza Tower is going for the 90s. Let's go.
Like MDE, like that's why I think I really like the Mondo Megabits NFTs because like they had that like it was sort of like a culmination of a lot of like the MD aesthetic that I think like was probably partly inspired by Nobody TM. I think like I could imagine Sam Hyde discovering Nobody TM on Paul and like running with it. But like that sort of like mix of 90s early 2000s video games, like computer games and like Y2K aesthetic, and like there's a sort of like MD core, and like the sort of like semi-ironic text that you have to like pause the video to read, and it's like it gives you like sort of an insight into things. I think like that's really great, and that's why I think even something that for most part is like kind of like cool and like boring for most of it, but then it's spliced with moments of like actually being entertaining. Like that's why I think like the whole fish tank experiment is such like a an incredible achievement in some ways. But yeah, PS2 GeoCities hell. That's great.
Oh man, so
yeah, like that stuff like before like MySpace even. Like this is very like older millennial Gen X type of stuff right here. So but yeah, man, like it's just I don't know though. I don't know. I think like I catch myself living in the past too much, because I think that most things that come out nowadays are sort of like not worth it.
Well, there's a lot to be said, and there was a point that I thought was made by the Distributist a while back, because he had reviewed or made some commentary critique on that essay I wrote for IM 1776, and he's just like, we really do live in a overly saturated world of nostalgia, and partially it's not just because there's fear for creativity. There's maybe I was Red Letter Media just put out a video, and they were going through all of like the new films of 2023.
You and your Red Letter Media.
They're my like one safe online media that I can like listen to, that I'm not like gonna be hit with like it's like sometimes where you'll listen to like a video game like reviewer or whatever, and then they'll like say something like totally offbeat and shit lippy that you just gotta like pause and like uninstall the app on your phone, or it's just like, oh, like and then like it's so bad with like, if you look back and see this game is just filled with like that transphobic sense of nostalgia, and then you're just like, yep, I gotta fucking just shoot myself. Like that's awful. Can't listen to that guy anymore. Like I don't care if he put out a really good review on something, it's over. But Red Letter Media I find relatively safe, and they went through like 33 new movies, and out of like 34 out of 34, like 28 of them were sequels, remakes, reboots, existing IPs. 6 of them were originals, and 3 of those originals were based off biographic events.
Oh my god.
So it kind of does tell you that, oh man, what a nutty place to live in for originality. And like, it was funny because you're saying, well, like, why aren't we creative maxing? It's just like, because nostalgia is easy to bank money off of, and that people are going to like slop up that crap anyway, because why not? And it's just a horrible disaster for what we're going for. And like but also it's illustrative of the fact that like, if you can uproot or deracinate in like an entire amount of people, then boy, it becomes easy for you to pick a niche thing on Tubi or Apple TV or whatever and go out of your way and watch it, because
Tubi's amazing for that.
There's no cohesive common culture anymore. It's not like everyone's going to go watch MASH and everyone's going to go watch Cheers and everyone's going to enjoy and go out and say, we're going to watch the Ten Commandments.
All in the family.
Yeah, like, well, no one's going to watch all sorts of sword and sandal movies, right? Like those are gone. I don't think that you're ever going to see that Louis P. It's just because the Church of Scientology has a like stake in Neopets, or they did.
They did?
So, yeah, like they they did. So who knows? The last thing that like, you had Game of Thrones, right? And that might be one of the last new things everyone watched, and then collectively snapped their fingers and forgot about the last season.
Yeah, it's total, like that last season was, my God. I just
once you got out of once you ran out of the original source material, what do?
Yeah,
you shat the bed.
I like how
she kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
I like how like the one
how do you admit that in front of millions of people while making millions of dollars a year? She kind of forgot that. Like, what?
No, the one good thing about the writer's strike is that it ratioed R. Martin on Twitter, where he's like, I can't believe the writer's strike is happening. People are like, cool, now you could go back to writing after a decade. So
and everyone got like so excited for a point. Like before the season came out, they were talking about like, oh yeah, the guys behind Game of Thrones, they're gonna work for like Lucasfilm and Disney and Star Wars. And then like the season came out and they're like, yeah, we're gonna politely sweep that crap under the rug. In the same way that
Lucas made such a mistake by selling Lucasfilm to Disney.
Well, isn't this the argument that like Red Letter Media's claim to fame is the reason why Lucas sold that shit anyway?
Yeah, the only Red Letter Media I ever watched was the Mr. Plinkett videos, even though I'm not a Star Wars fan. I think it was funny just to like see Mr. Plinkett shred the Star Wars franchise. I think I watched like I gotta admit though, there was this one like Tubi compilation of Red Letter Media that me and my old man were watching, and I gotta admit, it is like Red Letter Media is addicting as a to watch. Like I gotta admit, I could see why people are addicted to it.
It's a great gauge, I think, to keep your pulse on what regular people are talking about with respects to movies. Because I mean, like it's not like Mike Stacklasa and the rest of them are like three white guys they're all like 90s shit libs that are remotely tolerable to listen to on their opinions about movies, even though I think Mike has the worst opinions on films out of all of them.
Is Mike the one with the bowler shirt all the time?
No.
The guy that looks sad all the time?
Oh, well, that's him. Yes. That's him.
Yeah.
RLM is my right-wing entertainment detox, probably. I mean, and so I just think that sometimes he's got a mess.
But someone mentioned in the chat Hypnospace Outlaw. That's something we could review. I mean, that was a very ambitious concept for like the late 90s. Like where you had like different websites you had to like find a criminal on or whatever. Man, that stuff like that. It came out in 2019 is simulation video game developed by Tendershoot, published by No More Robots. Basically you have to go through these different websites and everything, and it's got like that primo like retrograde like early like late 90s sort of like early computer core aesthetic, which I'm a big fan of. I love for some reason. Like all millennials, I'm terribly nostalgic. Geo predictions for what the Leafs are going out of the playoffs.
There you go.
Okay. I think if they do manage to go to at least Game 7, that would be an absolute miracle. And I don't know if it's going to happen, but it would be nice if it would happen. But I think that either way, the whole like Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander experiment is going to end either way. I linked to this one great article on Twitter about it. I think this Friday, hopefully they'll win in Toronto, but I think like, unfortunately, the Leafs are one of the only franchises in NHL, in all sports, where it actually harms them to be in their hometown than any other team. So I think that's because of Leaf fans. If the Leaf fans acted more like Montreal Canadian fans, then the Leafs would have a chance. Put it that way. And if you know hockey, you know what I'm referring to. Because if the Leaf fans were like, if they didn't gas them up every time, like in the first period, and then like they just go silent when the other team gets a goal, then it's like I don't know. Hopefully, it will be one of the biggest miracles in hockey history if they manage to go to Game 7. But at least you're not a Sharks fan, Gio. Well, I mean, San Jose Sharks were amazing for a time. I remember. But by the way, shout out to my friend Hero. He would hate me for bashing on the Sharks. But Leaf fans are great. I'll make sure to dust my suit off for next home game.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? Like, listen, I think like if they restructure the whole team next year, if they bomb, then it would be better. I think they need to listen. I know, Les, yeah, he's the best. But if they traded Matthews, things would be much better. He was still not a non-entity last game in Florida. I think they need to trade Matthews. They need to trade Matthews to get a better goalie or to get someone else and to not like. Anyways, yeah, sorry. This is a hockey derailing. I'm also missing Best of the Super Juniors from New Japan, but I don't know. I mean, most wrestling is cool nowadays, but they say WWE is getting better though. They say the whole angle between Rey Mysterio and his son is pretty good. I've yet to watch I haven't watched WWE in like, oh my God, 10, 15 years. So they say it's good now. They say it's good. I don't believe them, but they say it's good. I don't know. Are you a fan of Rey Mysterio?
You're asking the wrong guy. You should know better.
You know Eddie Guerrero was from El Paso, eh?
No, I didn't. But
yeah.
I don't know jack shit about wrestling, and I don't watch hockey.
Oh, the Dallas Stars are doing really good.
Yeah, never been to a game. Although I've been invited to go by someone who wants to go basket weaving, so I should probably take that offer up.
You should, man. I think they're actually tonight. They're actually back in Dallas, so you might watch. If the Leafs bomb, I'm probably going to go for Dallas because Dallas is the real gritty redneck Southern hockey team. You know, they still play the Pantera song "Puck Off" when they score a goal. So the whole stadium goes duh, duh, Dallas duh, duh, Stars. Oh man, that's amazing. I love when they play Puck Off. But yeah, hopefully they beat the libtard Seattle. They got to beat the libtards in Seattle.
Well, I'm sure whatever Dallas does, they'll have some kind of. I have a friend who wants to go basket weaving. What a euphemism! Yeah, a euphemism for like meeting up IRL. I didn't come up with it myself. It's just the parlance that happens to be used, and it's a great way to code it from other people who ask too many intrusive questions.
Oh, look, Jorge, you forgot Chris Benoit. look at Black Horse. He's like Bret Hart killed his family. Well, Bret Hart kind of did bury his family, but not in the same way that Chris Benoit did. Oh man, oh poor Teddy Hart, man. Poor Teddy Hart could never get a break, but that was his own fault. Listen, I love Teddy Hart just for his talent, but I mean his personal life is a train wreck. But yeah, Dallas Stars. Hopefully they beat the libtards, Seattle Kraken.
Well, I'm sure though, whatever the Dallas Stars do, they'll have some sort of like pre-ceremony remembrance for what happened in Allen this last week.
Oh, they did actually. They tweeted about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do something before the game, though.
Oh, you want to talk about the team white supremacists?
Only because I actually, I'm not too far from that area.
Really, eh?
Yeah, so.
Well, doxing yourself.
Well, I mean, they know I live in Texas, but it's not too far away, and it's just like I live out in the boonies, but I'm like I know that place. I've met people there for dinners and things like that, and it's just like oh shit, you know. And if you drive down to go to the hospital where I go for my transplant clinic, it's just like oh shit, you know, like you drive past that area and you're like oh. Like the other day, like earlier this last week, I was just like, oh, there's like people, I was like on Monday, I think it was just that people are lining up to go get their cars and things like that. And it was just like, what a crazy.
Is Dallas a good city on a normal day though? Like,
you know, well,
of crime. Yeah.
Dallas is, it's got its problems. Like, you know,
and the King of Hill even alluded to that when they had to go to Dallas for the Boggle tournament. He's like, we got to go there early so before the gangs wake up. But like,
well, yeah, kind of. But it didn't used to be that way in that respect. But now you drive down there, and there are like you know makeshift gates around the underpasses and things like that. There's homeless encampments, and it's pretty rough. And like, what's worse is that they'll just bring bolt cutters, and then they'll like live under the underpasses, and then it's like they have their own gated community and their own respect. And it's just a mess. But yeah, like something like that happening was kind of just nuts to think about. Like, you know, these things happen. But of course, nothing has been more politically charged than, I mean, we kind of meme that, yes, is the California influx actually noticeable? Yes, Genghis Khan. It's very noticeable, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. The least white, yeah, exactly. And so, but I mean, very quickly.
Is Dallas less libtarded than Austin? I'd imagine so.
It's less, but it's got its own creme de la. It's like Austin in the respects that it's definitely liberal, but not as overtly libtarded. But it has its own like undercutting of racial politics that is like Houston.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's its own bizarre mess, and then Fort Worth is arguably and always has been its own cut of its own. It's always been more conservative, although it did go blue for the first time in a while. And the homeless are everywhere, and so it's just it's bad.
But are the homeless there in Texas, is it a result of the border situation, or is it a result of like the California situation where most homeless people in America move there because of the weather?
Well, it's a result because of the fact that like you have to make quite a bit of money to live in that city.
In Dallas or Austin?
In Dallas. Well, really, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I mean, Austin's ridiculously expensive, but I mean, it's also the home of the Texas state government bureaucracy, so you can afford to live there.
Although, Dallas is expensive? Like, that's crazy, man.
Well, I mean, the whole area has gotten very expensive, and so, like, even as far out from where I live, people are like, yeah, it's worth, like, 2-hour, 3-hour commutes to go work in Dallas and to live all the way fucking out in the middle of nowhere. Man. And, you know, they price people out time and time again. And there are people that have like lived in this area like for generations.
It's like here in Ontario with Toronto.
Yeah, they're just gone. And so it's an absolute disaster. And, you know, like, and of course, work from home makes that it has a similar problem. Like the New Yorkers are very pissed off about it. Like you move here, you get a work from home job, you don't integrate, you know, wah. I mean, in Texas, it's just like you move here, you know, work from home, you don't integrate, you vote blue, like the state gets worse, which is, it's always going to happen. And it always irks me because it's like Governor Greg Abbott will just be like, oh yeah, like all of a sudden.
What the fuck is he doing, by the way? I thought Abbott was based. I thought they hate him. The libs hate him. They say he's like a, you know,
it's bad. And I mean, but you know, the political capital that the Texas governor has he's got no power. He's weak. He's as poor as his, you know, his will to power is as limp as his legs.
No, that's what I mean, Black Horse. It's like Toronto in that, like, people have to live like hours away to work in Toronto because Toronto, the prices are unlivable. You know, like even Mississauga and Brantford, like there's a subdivision my old man was doing sidewalk panels in fairly close to me in the Niagara region here. And I shit you not, Prude, every single house in the subdivision, Southeast Asians, every one of them from either Punjab or, you know, certain parts of India or Pakistan, because even Brantford is like full now. Yeah. So it's like, they're coming down here. So maybe I will get my Brahmin princess suit. No, I'm kidding. But
I don't think you have it in you to be Flash Man, Gina. I don't think
well, Indian women love white guys. I don't know, for some reason.
Yeah, but I don't think that you can afford to be Flash Man in that respect. Yeah, why don't you live where there are those adorable Letterkenny hick libs? That's another great show about hick libs. Like, let's have
there's plenty of them.
A farmer couple that are like swingers, like an insatiably disgusting like black bartender lady. And then, like, you know, everyone's got to have them wholesome, progressive Toronto values out in the sticks. That we're importing 1.5 million a year. They have to live somewhere.
That's like boomers that sell they sell their apartment in Toronto and they live in some McMansion down here in Niagara, and then they complain about the wine farmers having bird bombs and things like that. It's like, fuck right off. Like, they're complaining about like farmers doing their job at 5 a.m. Really great, really amazing. But yeah, all the subdivisions that we're building down here, they're all filled with like Somalis and Southeast Asians and Haitians and so forth. And Canada, I mean, well, maybe the odd Ukrainian. But you know, it's like that's my Ontario dog, and me and Black Horse have to live here. But, you know, I mean, it's not all bad. It's just, I'm saying that, I don't have to want to go through the immigration thing. About Texas, though, I always wanted to visit Texas one day. Texas seems like,
there's great places to go and visit and stuff. But I mean, like, what's worse, of course, is that, like, Texas has always been at, like, the premier front of, like, government battles with respect to Washington. And Rick Perry had more balls on him, at least, to like constantly sue the government.
That's incredible. Yeah, I remember that.
He and his team was a little more offensive, whereas like Greg Abbott, yes, has sued things, but like the legislature is so incredibly milquetoast. Yeah, and like they act like it's 1990, they act like it's 1996. We just won the governor's mansion, and Republicans are totally in control. Like, it's like elephants in control, patriots in control, trust the plan. And then like in the last 30 years, it's just like, well, what the hell's happened to the state? And you know, this whole business, and again, it's just like a lesson, an example of why you cannot worship the golden calf. You cannot say mammon is good because the line goes up, because all of a sudden you can say all these pro-business things where people are leaving California and coming to Texas are importing the very workers that will vote you out of office.
Yeah.
And
Look
so,
at Raging Manjaro, Canadian government would do if Americhuds mass migrate to Hyperborean North. Well, it's Hyperborean North if you agree that Indians still possess the Indo-Aryan DNA. But
let's not kid ourselves.
It's funny. It's funny when in Hindu Twitter used to fight with Kalyak Twitter about who are the real Aryans. That was pretty funny. But KJ has a good point if you want to highlight here.
Yeah, I mean, Rick
about
Perry
Abbott.
was.
Oh, no, the other one about Abbott is a total state shill. Said a year ago they were going to fund the wall themselves and set up Operation Lone Star.
Did nothing. He only did that to win re-election.
But that was it. Well, you know, because you worked in local government, but like, why is okay? So, who is that other guy in Texas? Coin? Oh,
John Cornyn, the other senator from Texas.
Yeah, the conservative.
Ted Cruz and John Cornyn, who's like the number 2 GOP guy in the Senate.
But like, why is Abbott so ineffective as opposed to like Meatball Ron? Because I know, okay, listen, we all hate Meatball Ron in the national stage, but when it comes to Florida,
I like the fact that he's told no more Chinese people to go buy property in there. Like, I'm sorry, that's a state of national. That's a good thing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to. Well,
Meatball Ron prevented.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't want foreigners like jacking up the price of like my real estate in my own state.
He prevented Florida from being Canadianified.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing.
No, but like, why is it that Abbott is particularly ineffective as opposed to Meatball Ron in Florida?
Because DeSantis, for all of what anyone may want to think of him, DeSantis is like political machine, and this isn't 100% him, but it's definitely a part of it. Took an incredibly bold step to make that state solidly red. I mean, his re-election campaign thing was very much demonstrable proof of this, from the almost getting screwed out of the governorship by some black guy that was found ODing with a gay guy in an apartment naked. Like, it tells you a lot of how bad things are. But like, he has a political machine that has made it effective where he can actually legislate and govern, whereas you're kind of limited as the Texas governor because we only meet every other year for like a long session. And even then you can invoke an emergency and have things that are done. And so we're constitutionally limited by how the legislature meets. The governor doesn't have nearly as much powers. It's sort of, there's executive authority kind of divvied out between like 5 different offices. And then, you know, he has to deal with the fact that he's got, you know, Houston, Austin, Dallas, and El Paso, and soon I think really Denton and Fort Worth.
All these are shitlib cities
that are all turning into large shitlib city states. And so, like, eventually you're going to get outvoted and outmoded by those groups. So he acts like he's a metropolitan GOP light. He's not going to do much about it. And
whereas Meatball Ron did things to make it politically impossible for like big cities to turn lib.
Yeah.
Like even the school, like gutting the school districts. Although, like, I mean, let's face it, Meatball Ron signing the hate speech bill. I mean, come on.
Well, I'm sorry. If you're running for president and you're also going to the one country that sponsors the most travel for any government official in the United States, why am I surprised? Like,
yeah, true, obviously, but he had to sign the bill right there in Jerusalem. So.
Yeah, but no, absolutely, Colony Ridge is a community setup that floods like crazy. But yeah, no, absolutely, that's something that if you want to be black-pilled, like look at the fact that the Texas state government nor the federal government does anything about Colony Ridge.
But is it just like in Texas, like basically the shitlibs and academics that have moved there, that they're sort of like telling those large migrant populations to vote Democrat, more or less? Like it happens in all major American cities.
Well, it was funny because in the 2018 midterm election, actually a lot more California transplants voted for Ted Cruz than the Hispanic-born second, third generations that voted for O'Rourke. Now, O'Rourke's awful. So, I mean, but also like Ted Cruz isn't great either. Ted Cruz used to be like, if you were like a Blaze or a Rush Limbaugh appreciator circa 2012, 2015, anywhere in that time frame.
The Blaze has gotten more based than
was Ted Cruz your guy? Because, and then you get blackpilled because it's like, oh, you did a quote unquote filibuster for 24 hours that didn't do shit.
Like
on the issue of Well, Rand Paul did it in respects to like privacy and the NSA, whereas Ted Cruz did like a bullshit procedural 24-hour talkathon about Obamacare, which was going to pass anyway. And then when Obamacare finally rolled out, of course, it did go to shit. But that was a fun time to talk about. But like we're seeing this right now. Like if you look through like the footage on Twitter right now about like the city of El Paso, it's just a disgusting overflow of people. And of course, they're all going to get bussed further northward. And they're all going to be taken to places that, are inconvenient for red states. I mean, like, it's also part of like why Montana, Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota are kind of awkward with that respect too, because they'll just send migrants there. And no one does anything about it because you are the demographic problem that illegal immigration is supposed to fix.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, why is it that Abbott's just a dumb boomer, and why can't the Texas GOP like do something about it? Like, why can't they take?
Because the Texas GOP does not have the grip on the state that it used to have. Like, you have to also understand, like, the Bush dynasty just died here. Like, there's no political power like centralized in this place. And
I forget who said it. I think it was Christopher Sandbach that was talking, or was it James Kirkpatrick that talked about how the Bushes themselves really fucked over any chance of like Texas being conservative as a political dynasty and just shitting the bed.
Well, Texas is a lot like Arizona in this respect, but much older.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they're roughly the same age. But I mean, like, what do you have to deal with? You have two political families that have ruined the state for having any sort of real conservative backlash. I mean, you had Don Huffines that ran in the primary against Greg Abbott. His sole issue was like build the fucking wall, and I voted for him. Like, I supported that campaign. I gave money to it. Like, it's just a disaster. And so like Trump comes around, and you see on the issue of immigration, both in 2016 and 2020, there's like massive weird bit of the Rio Grande Valley, which has historically always been blue. Vote red in ways that we have never seen before. Like, that actually said, no, this county was red. Like, holy shit, what a difference. And now all of a sudden, like, the GOP wants to do that my heckin' wholesome multiracial working class ethnic party.
Oh god,
which Abbott's
conservatives.
My hashtag compassionate conservatism. And it's all gone down that way. And Greg Abbott has no political machine to run on but himself and the establishment, Mitch McConnell. And so there isn't an effective counter-prevailing conservative force that could retake, reassert, infiltrate, etc. I mean, like, look at my Texas Young Republicans Club, right? I'm not talking about the CRs. I'm talking about the Young Republicans Club that, for all, like, there are plenty of issues that we could talk about with respect to,
you should be the head of the Young Republicans.
I don't want to do that.
No, but I mean, if in base world, you would be.
In base world, these people would be redacted. But I mean,
I put them against.
Yeah, they very kindly. Now, please go back to where you came from.
That's a good point. Now face the wall.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now face the wall and walk towards Juarez, right? But the issue is that for all the problems that say the New York City Young Republicans Club has, or the DC Young Republicans Club has, that you have in respects to, like, they're all part with like the Bannon war pandemic crowd, whatever, right? Like, you can have issues with that, and so. But on the other hand, they're at least cool. Like, they kind of understand that, like, for better or for worse, like the Trump style politics of the GOP gets people's attention and it works. Whereas what you have with the Texas Young Republicans Club is like, oh, well, we think this is really bad and we're going towards statism and Trumpism. We need to figure out how to move on from here. And they're talking like they're Rick Wilson, and they're talking like they're Eric Erickson from Red State, who had said,
this
actually,
is
no,
so
we should just
bad.
We should just shoot the protesters at J6. And that's what Eric Erickson said on January 6, 2021. And people act like he's still a conservative pundit. Like,
that was
bro,
like
you
the
just
Kevin
said,
Williamson
you
white
just
replacement's
said,
good.
Yeah, he basically was just like, screw the rule of law, shoot him dead. And it's just like, all right, cool, traitor to the state and to my people. But like, so the Texas Young Republicans Club is the same way. There is no existing conservative pedagogical, like, right-wing institution here. Like, if the ISI, for instance, wanted to open up in Texas, I would feel so bad for them, because it's like, we want, like the Michael Antons of the world telling like young people how to be based and to build political coalitions. But instead it would be like 56%ers talking about how we need to like get Trumpism without Trump. And it's just a disaster. So like the future of the Republican Party in Texas is going to be like a bourgeois, nouveau riche kind of like my heckin' wholesome multi-ethnics. Let's go get that Hispanic red Latina vote. And it's just awful. awful. But Texas still, because of the money.
Yeah, answer this question for me. Yeah, there you go.
Because
Default
for
used to
instance,
live in
New Founding
Texas.
has an office in Dallas. I've been there twice. Like there is still money to do that, but at the same time, it's a mix of like new sort of SV venture capital money, and then you have like boomer con money, like Zion Oil and Gas, where it's like we make sure that our money, like 5% of it or whatever, goes to Israel, and you're like, what am I supposed to do?
Zion Oil?
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
Yeah, Zion Oil and Natural Gas. They have a building off I-75. Like you can't find it. Like it's just a disaster. So but like there's money to do it because there are a lot of disaffected young people to build here. I'm simply saying with the existing institutions, it may be better just to make something new completely, which I'm kind of on board for, than it would be to deal with like these cucks.
No, because I have a plan, okay? Not a plan, but like see if this makes sense. Could there be like a reverse Austin, Texas? Because okay, you know that movie about Austin where it just followed around all these freaks for one day? It was made in like the early 90s. Yes. Slackers, okay?
Slackers, yeah.
Now, Austin, Texas has a very interesting history because it always kind of was like a neo-hippie colony where it had like a lot of interesting people and freaks that would move there. And New Mexico is another one. If I recall, Georgia O'Keeffe moved to New Mexico. Lauren Harris here in Canada moved to New Mexico for a little bit. Then he came back to run the, I believe, the Toronto School of Arts. And so what I mean by reverse Austin is that could you have a reality where like disaffected young like groypers and frogs and like Zoomer right people, they could basically take over a few counties in Texas and they could create like a based world Austin, Texas, the way that like shitlibs from California moved to Austin. Like, is there a viable way in which you could turn cities in Texas red again? And could that happen in like a post-Trump world? Because I do think 2024, we seriously have to consider what the GOP is going to look like without Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I don't want to talk
as much as that CNN town hall was like the best keynote that CNN has ever had. Like honestly, Trump without a teleprompter or without someone whispering in his ear what to say, just keynote, it's perfect, chef's kiss. But so like this is what I met.
You're a nasty woman, by the way.
She had a cat name. I'm not going to say it, but it's so good. But so I met Andrew Isker last week. He came to Dallas and he was doing something with New Founding and he had some conference to go to. It was a pleasure to meet him. I recorded some audio with him. I need to edit and I'm going to post it alongside my review of their book, Christian Nationalism. But he was thinking about doing this, and you can do it if you have the money. The issue is like three things that are the premier problem. One is going to be patronage networks. Do you have access to patronage? Can you be a patron? Do you have money? Really? So do you have a network that can do it? Lord knows I don't, because I'm a lower middle class working schlub with an office wagey job and does this because I like it and it's fun and I think I'm doing something right. Maybe
I'm a neat artist.
Right. Like you and I we're not the people that'll do it. Like for instance, like I am not the kind of person that New Founding would hire, because what are they going after? They're going after legal. They're going after elites. Like those are the good things that you would want to have. But that's just a personnel patronage capital issue is a thing there. Secondly is going to be the issue of, do you have control of enough local institutions to do so? So if, say for instance, right, if you wanted to push a county ordinance or a city ordinance, say you took over like a tiny podunk town of maybe 10,000 people or less, and you convince city council to say, actually displays of sodomy are going to be illegal on public grounds inside city limits. I mean, based, but do you have the backing to do so? And do you have like the county attorney or the city attorneys, in your pocket or in your backing that will do it? So it comes back to then political control. And then three, do you have the necessary manpower, i.e. I'm not even talking about the first problem. I'm talking about, do you have the numbers to do it?
To create a right-wing Oshoville.
Like to create sort of like a base world population 5,000.
Like right? OSHA's the number two in command, she created this Osho town in Ohio, I think it was, or was it Idaho?
So those are some of the those are some of the things there that you need to. Do you have enough money to fend off lawfare? Is the big one. So, and you also need to have women's support. Believe it or not, like this
you need men to be married. Yes,
you need men to be married that can have children, but also like you really can't.
You need to get your e-girlfriend's default to move there.
Sure. But no, this goes to a point that
Oregon. It was Oregon. Sorry, it was Oregon.
Oregon.
Sorry, Nick. It was Oregon? The Oshowville in Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pronunciations of that state are always funny to me, but it does go back to the issue that like is
well, how do you pronounce it?
I say Oregon.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Or I like Oregon.
It's like no one in America calls it Mary's Land.
Maryland, yeah.
It's Maryland. In your conversation with New Founding, are those guys for real? Yes. And having met and spoke with Nate Fisher privately for like an hour, I guarantee you that those guys actually want to win.
Yeah.
Oregon.
But I think like the problem is they have to bank for like unwanted attention.
Well, so to get to,
you know what I mean? Like I think I've seen some of those, you know what, accounts talking.
Sure, but to get to Catherine's point, right?
Yeah.
You actually do need it, because nothing turns, because you do need women's support for things, because if you're gonna live in a longhouse world, right? And we do live in one, like you're not escaping it anytime soon, right? At least legally speaking, the legal superstructure for quote unquote the longhouse is going to be here for quite some time.
Oh yeah.
However, women are still the movers and shakers of things in the house. Behind every great man is probably a woman nagging his ass when he gets home. It's the tale as old as time. The ancient Greeks wrote about it. But you are going to definitely need, men build and women maintain their system. AA, yeah, it's a true point. You need women to help you maintain things, and to women to self-police and tell other women to quit acting like a you-know-what and to go do things. Which means that whatever you're going to do publicly facing and doing things needs to attract men that will engage in high-status work or to get money and capital, which will bring women to them. Men who work out in the middle of nowhere, right? Wives wanted. You want something like that. But that also kind of means that like you really can't be talking about, I don't know, like what woman is going to look at like the state of right-wing Twitter and be like, yep, this is the kind of movement I want to find a husband on.
Well, there are a few of them though, not to name names, but me and Default have talked about that.
Oh, I'm sure that you two have. I mean, you two are, I'll let you two have that conversation, but I mean like
racist, sexist frogs,
yeah, like
of course a woman loves that.
Who wants to marry the chuds, right? Who wants to marry the chuds? That's the thing, is can you get that? And
or they'll start to try to verbalize like a Twitter frog.
There were 4 women at the event last year. There were 3.5 women at the event last year.
3.5.
There were 3.5 women last year, and that's because only one of them is an intersex person.
Oh no, I thought you were referring to
No, I wasn't. There was one actual.
Yeah.
There's one actual intersex person he is the eunuch, and she was there.
Yeah, he's the eunuch, but that's
what I meant by half.
Oh, I thought you meant
there were no impossible people.
Okay.
Thank Christ. And 2 of them were married, and the other one was there from like Lambda's Discord server, and I felt so bad for her because it's like there was like 100 people at that bloody conference, and like 96 dudes who weren't, most of them probably single, just be like, And it's like a dive bar in rural Wyoming, Slim Chickens. Yeah.
If you have, here's the thing, and Default, back me up on this one. If you have an event, and if it doesn't have to be a significant amount, it just needs to be a certain amount of visibility. If you have like an event and like at least 30% of them are women, then other women will feel a bit more comfortable with like being among like chuds and like frogs, because then it shows that like, oh, I guess like I'm not crazy because other women are here, and they sort of like, they'll feel more comfortable. Like women will naturally feel more comfortable at an event that has other women involved. But so I feel like if you can cross the 20 to 30% threshold of women, not just like a few women, but like actual women, like I feel like these events, these basket weaving events can be like more viable in terms of like what any sort of political thing can do. Like it's got to be at least a certain percent of women for other women to feel comfortable, and for it to not be as like a Roosh v Manosphere meetup. Remember those back in the day?
Yes.
What did you know about women? Come on, it's just instinct that women feel comfortable around an event.
Women are going to find other women, and they will congregate together. Like anyone understands.
Kate and Default in the chat, please back me up on this one. Please.
This is women who co-sign with other women are going to be crossing the threshold without being longhouses.
Yeah, that's a huge.
That sort of requires people to recognize that maybe movements and political organizations should not be led by neurotic individuals that will sabotage relationships and other things like that. Like
no, but also you need other women, like, because you want to avoid the phenomenon of women being like quote unquote speakers or thought leaders, because then what happens is there's like this tug of war among all the other
and then your longhouse
voices. Yeah, this has happened. This happened to the original E-Right. This happened in the Gamergate days. This happened with the alt-light. I mean, the Lauren Southerns of the group, they were the all the other men were haggling over them.
Wheat fields.
Yeah, no, but that's exactly.
You can't be facilitating some kind of fantasy about it either. Thoughtly, that's funny. That's pretty great.
But no, that's what I mean. Like, it's see, there you go, Kate. Thank you. Yes, I concur. I'm more willing to go to an event knowing that there's some women there. Exactly. It doesn't seem weird. I mean, like a one woman in a group of like a sea of men is kind of looks. It's not good optics. You know what I mean? It's like then also that leads to suspicion, because then it's like, what if that one woman is like a journalist or something? Then it's like,
oh well, if that's the case, they'll probably just sarcastically, make it clear that they're a journalist or something like that.
I mean, like, any right-wing event's gonna have one crumpler. I mean,
yeah, there's someone there's someone that will like write a tell-all Substack about how they were called like God, that's one of my favorite Substacks in the world, of him just bitching about what everyone made fun of him with. It's just like he wrote about his own humiliation struggle sesh, and I
love how he plays this coy game. Like,
I think he got off on it.
No, but like, it's funny because Vile, my good friend Vile Pill, who I've known for a long time on Twitter, he wrote he wrote this. I responded to him because he cited this passage where he was talking about his friend what's her name? Kai. I blocked her on Twitter because she's like a crazy person. Like a crazy, like, New York leftist, Hapa woman. Default, you know who I'm talking about. What's her name?
Oh God,
Tai?
that sounds like
yeah, and she's got like she shaves her head.
Oh.
She's got those like poorly drawn millennial tattoos. So she was quote pretends to be an artist, but Crumps was writing about how, like, to me, I'm acceptable because, like, these right wingers think I'm actually one of them because I'm a bourgeois, rich kid, white guy, and so I must be secretly a reactionary. But her, like, she's undefensible, right? And I'm like, Crumps, no, you have to like pretend that deep down inside you don't sympathize with the people you're writing about. So he creates this like ironic mask where he's like pretending to be self-aware at acknowledging that he's actually of a reactionary class, being like a rich kid. So he's got to like create a front on top of a front, but he's like, no, actually, in my heart of hearts, deep down inside me, I am like 100% a leftist, and I have no sympathy to these these hipster racists, right? So it's like he's got to create a crumple zone of irony to like fake acknowledge that he's like, no, these people think I'm one of them, but I'm not actually one of them. Haha, hee. I'm actually a leftist. Default, don't fuck with me. Who is Crumbs? Come on.
I feel like this is a conversation you have on a regular basis with people.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, Crumpsy's got to create like this ironic mask where he acknowledges that people think he's secretly a reactionary, but he's like, no, actually, I'm a leftist. No, actually, you think I'm one of you, but I hate you, and I'm gonna make catty blog posts about you. But it's like, I don't know. Would I get into trouble if I interviewed Crumpler?
Only if he doesn't write a Substack about your interview about how you had your own fascist humiliation ritual.
True.
Yeah, Mike Crumpler wrote that rather infamous August 2022 Crump Stack post. I love his title for that though. My own dime square fascist humiliation ritual. It's good shit.
You know, as much as I don't like Gavin, he did speaking of who wrote a book, Sean Weiland. As much as I don't like Gavin, he did have a good take on Vice. He's like, people think that I like, it's like, it's like Vice like went to the moon without me. Like, so he wasn't like gloating over the end of Vice, excuse me. But he did have
I wonder if that's how Tim Pool feels.
But that's the thing. Like Tim Pool, he like says like, I created Vice News. I did it. It's like this is the man that has radicalized the
Mexican.
Has radicalized the Oaxacan right. Like it's the alt-right's a Latinx movement because of Tim Pool. It's like this is the guy. He's like, no, I created Vice News. And it's like, what? Like it's it's funny.
Many such cases.
But speaking of the Latinx right, did you want to talk about? You probably want to avoid it being a Texaner. I understand.
Oh, I mean, just it's unfortunate because it's like, oh, like I've been to that area. And it's to me, I'm immediately skeptical that we instantaneously knew everything about him and all these images, this like obscure Russian social media site that he was on. Like it just feels
there's people on VK.
Oh, I'm sure, but like I don't know. Like, I mean, if that's the case, and then, I mean, if it all pulls out and like say that the ongoing narrative is true, like, well, people should realize that there are a lot more global South mid-century German appreciators out there than they realize. But we'll see. It's unfortunate though. That's all I can say.
No, I can kind of believe it because I remember during the first Twitter ban wave, people went to like VK and Telegram, and but like I just don't understand, why would he shoot white people then? Like it's just, like, see, I could never understand that about these so-called like right-wing, stochastic whatever, like mass casualty people. They always the victims end up being white. I don't know. That's like really weird to me.
Sailor's law of shootings definitely applied here because like more wounded and more shots fired than there were actual casualties. So I mean,
oh man,
yeah,
I know. Just the whole thing like stinks to high heaven for me.
Yeah, it does, but it's also a bloody tragedy nonetheless.
Yeah, no, but I saw the leftoids were like trying to say that, like by you casting doubt that actually this is a Latino like supremacist, that it's like, by saying that the mere fact that he's Mexican, or what is he, El Salvadoran or something?
I have no idea.
That like it can't possibly be, which I mean, yeah, it's kind of true. It is a simplistic take, but it's like I don't know. I feel like outside of North America, a lot of these political categories, it's excuse me.
Yeah.
It's like people trying to like talk about what the Russians mean by fascism. You know what I mean? Like, or the mid-century German. It's like sorry, I was eating almonds.
Really activates the almonds there, buddy.
No, I actually was eating almonds, but no, but it's like I feel like I mean, he could have been like, I don't know, like radicalized by Tim Pool is like such a media narrative headline to like really digest. You know what I mean? But I do feel like for example, there are cartels that use symbols from the mid-century Germans, and it's like I don't know. What's your hot take on it?
I am skeptical, right. And we'll just see what happens until we get more information, But at the end of the day, that's really all I can say on it. That's all. But yeah, easy on the almonds there, buddy. Jeez.
Oh man, you don't want to get caught in your throat.
Yeah, that's why I don't eat while I'm on the air.
No, that's why I'm muting myself. I don't. But no, yeah, it's. I mean,
yeah. How does someone get radicalized? No one does. The only time that you get radicalized by Tim Pool is to do everything in your existence to not live his life. Like, I'm radicalized by Tim Pool because I don't want to be a 5'6" manlet who's balding with a beanie and unmarried at 35.
Oh, God.
Like, that's how I'm radicalized. I don't want to be him.
And just like has the most tepid, like lukewarm takes on everything.
I see the individual. You know, I'm all about the individual. I hate him.
No, but that's what I mean. Like that's what made me suspicious.
This is why I can't ever be a mainstream figure, because this shit's now on like my public record of sorts. Tim Pool sucks bottom text, absolutely. Although our friend Oren McIntyre will be on Timcast later tonight, I think. So God have mercy on him for having the patience of a saint to deal with such midwittery.
But it is funny though that like right after that happened in Nashville, it's like now it's like we have a right wing version of it. So,
yeah, like, oh boy, we're about to release the trans shooters manifesto. Better go sprinkle in some hot takes on there.
No, but that's what I mean. Like immediately it becomes like you are responsible as an individual that has like alleged beliefs approximating the mass casualty person's alleged beliefs. Like I was seeing tweets about like I think Nick Fuentes was trending again because like that's what people go to, right? Tim Pool is trending. I think even like who else did the guy mention?
I don't
Tim
know.
Pool. Did he mention Ann Coulter or something? I forget. It was like Tim Pool and another like intellectual dork web person. I guess he was radicalized by Joe Rogan, right? But then what happened when it came to Nashville is that it's not the responsibility of every individual impossible woman. Now it's like this person is a victim actually, and we should celebrate. We should have a statue for what was the person's name in Nashville?
Hale.
Aubrey.
Last name.
Aubrey Hale?
Something like that.
Yeah, Aubrey Hale. So we should have a public statue in Nashville because that is the act of martyrdom to secure trans rights in Nashville. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's like the sort of, again, I know it's like a lukewarm take, but again, it's another celebration parallax.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Anton, so it's like, I just find it suspicious that a few weeks after the thing that happened in Nashville, which was the most incredibly unoptical thing for the most vicious and most promoted group of like pet group of the political left, right after that optics disaster, this happens. But now he's like a Latinx, right? Like far right extremist.
It's also convenient. I say this in respects because I think about those post 2020 articles about multiracial whiteness.
Yeah. Well, like Zimmerman, right?
I know the invention of like white Hispanic. We must,
but is that a response to like demographic trends in America though? Like because if like out of all the people, like Latinos would probably become more right wing over time, or is it just like
I don't know. They're more likely to be gay.
No, but that's what I mean though. Like I think you'll have like a Brazil situation where Brazil has a lot of like far right people that are like, but then they also have the largest amount of gay people in South America and Latin America. So
we'll see,
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We have to stop the chuddies from jumping on the bed of society.
Oh God.
That's so great. And there was that clip going around of someone doing the chuddies thing for like a promposal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, promposals.
Lord have mercy.
Oh my God.
It's bad. It's bad.
The chuddies.
The chuddies.
Oh boy. But in other news, what else was in the news lately?
Well, I mean, this sort of just poses the interesting question about like, because we talked about a little bit of the writer's strike, and it just makes me wonder like what comes next for media entertainment. Because I feel like clearly you're not in a position like the VR stuff is still ridiculously expensive. Yeah. There's stuff about I mean, AI girlfriends is still in the discourse again, but it just makes me wonder, what is the future of like this sort of entertainment? Because, you know, keeping people, and this is what happens now that I have like Kaczynski on my mind. Like, if you have a mechanism of a self-propagating system in which you've got people sort of on this like feedback loop of dopamine hits and receptors and entertainment that keeps people addled from doing really anything, right? You know, like we're in a weird place to be in for wherever that might go. How interactive can we get it? Where are we going to be? And now that that's a good point. Now that traditional media is now fully catching up with the internet, is pathetic when the new internet is literally right around the corner.
Yeah.
Just in time for traditional media to like play with all of the stuff that currently exists. Like you saw that more recently with all the news, like CNN and Fox having their own subscription-based models, you know, Fox Nation or CNN like extras with like Don Lemon and all those other although that doesn't work out, right? But yeah. And I don't think that stuff is interesting, like, because the average viewer for that stuff is like in their mid 60s or older. Like the average Fox News viewer is around 68.5 years old.
Oh God.
Who wants that? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a subscription service. Like, I only like, you know, there was a BitChute channel that was kind enough to upload all of Tucker Carlson's original like one-on-one interviews. That's how I watched like Catherine's appearance. That's how I watched Charles Haywood's appearance. And so maybe, you know, like it's just a weird space. But do I think that right-wing writers have a chance of beating left-wing media sphere because of the strike? Nostalgia can't last forever? No, because right-wing media will never have the money that left-wing media does.
Nope.
Unless the Daily Wire even if you got a like 1 in a billion, right, like unironically based show that has incredible right-wing themes, like if you got like a Master and Commander style television show, or like even the original, like the more early 2000s run of Battlestar Galactica, incredibly reactionary, like where they ban abortion on the ship because like we need the propagation of the human species. Like you're not going to have that happen.
That was a part of Battlestar Galactica?
Yes, it was.
Whoa.
Unfathomably in good taste. But like, it's not, you're not going to get that. There's still an incredible amount of money behind franchises and IPs, and the writer strike won't do anything other than the same thing that we saw in 2007, 2008, or B, they're just going to look up at indie writers and pick up things and try something new. Like I would genuinely be surprised if they didn't look towards like internet horror or
they already have.
Like, I know, because the guy that does the backroom stuff, whatever his name is, got a deal with A24, Kane Pixels. So like it's gonna happen. Yeah, Hornblower was a Master and Commander style TV show. I know. Had a good Catholic friend of mine recommend that to me a few years back, and I've quite liked it. But it's just like I don't know, because the right also has a problem with nostalgia. Like the right wing is inherently drenched in it in the same way, because there's been a substantial, like if you were to take like a string, right, and then just all of a sudden like pull at it, and there's this weird thing that stops it from being just a straight line pulled taut on a string. Like there's the substantial deracination for younger people that look towards nostalgia as a way to understand what they've lost, even if they are looking at through that telescopic lens of pop culture. Like it's still messy. So, you know, any ongoing demise of this writer strike, like I'm all for it, but at the same time, it'll be a good thing, I think, if it just goes on. But I just don't think that right-wing media can overtake it. Like, and we already reviewed, well, more like Geo and Kino Corner did, because my fucking internet at the time. But, you know, like it's not like the Daily Wire's doing pretty well in the movie stands. They're all awful. So yeah, I think what will happen is that if you can retake a literary scene or a literary space, I'll be all for it. And so yeah, I mean that's what I mean. This is the one thing that I'm optimistic about is the literary space. That's the one place that doesn't have to be intrinsically right wing that is doing pretty well.
Well, funding is always an issue because like apparently Stripe even got rid of Sam Hyde's account for a fish tank for some reason. So like,
gee, I wonder why.
No, but is it because of the nature of Sam Hyde or the nature of Fish Tank? Because then
well, I mean, Sam Hyde's got his own. Like, I feel bad because like imagine like running a successful business and like when people look you up, everyone has to be like, no, he's not a mass terrorist.
No, okay, there's that, but I mean, like, is it just the nature of the content of Fish Tank being like human experimentation? Because Stripe is usually pretty decent. Like, I mean, I know they banned Patrick, but like,
They've banned
compared
quite
to
a
like,
few people, like including like
compared to
British
PayPal.
dissidents.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, compared to like PayPal, Stripe would be like the more like lenient, right? So I always find it crazy that because of Fish Tank, Sam Hyde got banned from Stripe. But like yeah, they might be dealing with a lot of chargebacks, that's why. But
probably.
No, yeah, because
that's another huge thing to consider.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, the problem is that when it comes to media, the way it's shaped, I mean, media itself, I mean, I don't want to like blackpill, but those like ridiculous, like libtarded shows that we always like make fun of, those are what the average like boomer and Gen X normie is watching. They're watching Law and Order. You know what I mean? So you can't rival the sort of culture industry power that has. But I do feel that as people go more towards the internet, there will be an opportunity there. But you know, you mentioned like the AI like shows, like AI creating shows.
And well, I know that forced to keep up. Dave Martell is putting out like a contest for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that. So the strike's a blessing, right? And I think that there's something there to definitely work with, but I just
no, but I think like traditional media, like they will experience like huge downfalls. It's just that
I'm all for it.
Yeah, of course, but it's just that when it comes to the future of content in general, like maybe Nemitz is right. Maybe it will become more personalized and everyone can, you know, have the ability to create their own series from AI and like entertain themselves and goon themselves silly with their own like customizable form of entertainment. But then again, it's like that presents its own set of problems with the way that the world would be like then. Like that would be like, can you imagine like everyone having their own version of a cop drama or a medical drama that they're sort of like creating themselves and has their own like, and then they would of course like upload these creations eventually. And then it becomes like, you know, maybe would have like the rebirth of like rare media, like, you know, come
maybe you will get your yeah, exactly. Your Groiper 88's edited version of the Little Mermaid with a white character. You know, I'm sure that these things aren't going to happen. I mean, they will happen. They're going to. It's going to be done.
It'll talk about. Never mind.
I mean, there's people. I mean, like this isn't new. I mean, like if a fandom is dedicated enough to do something political or otherwise, like I think about people who have edited the absolute shit out of Star Wars, The Phantom Menace.
Well, there are nerds that created like Star Trek, like action things. You know?
Yeah, no, but what I mean is just like there are people back in like the 90s that would, or in the early 2000s that went out of their way to ensure you know, that Jar Jar was edited out of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
like people will do it, and I think they've done that with like the sequel stuff as well. So I'm not sure. But if Peter Thiel were smart, he would fund a right-wing streaming service entertainment. Well, you know, one little rent boy dies and dark elves get scared. So I'm not too certain what Peter Thiel is going to do with his money, anyways nowadays.
Well, didn't he say that he
was not
didn't
want to play a role in 24. Yeah, I mean, if he honestly like whatever money he put into that awful The Right Match or The Right Stuff dating app, if you had done that with, you know, like this is why I will write my support for this, because I told Ben Braddock I would, and I'm working on it. Like I'm writing sort of like an advertising, you know, op-ed for why I support the IM 1776 like desire to be like an artistic, you know, foundation to fund projects, because I think that's a good thing. And I think that you need the infrastructure to establish arts. And if that means like, hey, we want to put money in for you know, like we want to film a stage play, we want to do that, like I'm all for it, you know.
What happened to Indian Bronson and Justin Murphy's dating apps? What happened to them?
Justin Murphy's dating app is around, and people have actually gotten their blind date arranged marriages from it.
Whoa.
And there are testimonials. I looked it up because I was genuinely curious a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, people are signed up for this.
Maybe I could be like an ad for Justin if he finds me a wife. That'd be like the ultimate test. I said that to Indian Bronson once, and maybe he'll hook me up.
Maybe that's the real stress test for his system.
That's the stress test of the dating app. Is if Gio
you would be the ultimate proof. You would be the proof that this works.
Yeah.
Did Elon just announced a new female CEO? Oh,
it's
over. It's over.
No, but is this real?
Is this happening right now? Twitter new CEO. What does Elon Musk have to say? I'm excited to announce I've hired a new CEO for X/Twitter. She will be starting in 6 weeks. Oh, it's over,
boys.
It's over, boys.
You never know. She could be based, though.
It's been an honor serving with you.
What's her name?
It's been an honor. We don't know. I don't know yet. It just says
it's been an honor serving. Like she's just gonna ban everyone.
It's been an honor shitposting with you. My role will transition to being executive chair and chief.
Is it
CTO, overseeing product software and sysops? Oh, it's over.
What's her name?
We don't have a name. That's literally all he tweeted was this.
Oh no, it's gonna be Lauren Southern.
It's over. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's gonna be Ann. It's gonna be Ann Coulter. There you go. Can you imagine Ann Coulter running Twitter?
I mean, unless it's Radfem Hit that's running it, it's over.
No, it'd be even more over because like Radfem would just ban all of the fraud.
Yeah, she would. She'd be like, you tweeted "Beauty will save the world," banned from the platform forever.
And Coulter, I love how I tweeted that out.
Right-wing art is hard to advertise to my Gen Z peers because it seems so pretentious. Oh, I mean, I'm not taking offense. I haven't really created anything of an artistic
I haven't created anything that pretentious. I should though.
I mean, like to me, right-wing art would be like the Biz Archives. Like that's not inherently political. It's just good old-fashioned pulp.
Negative XP.
Oh, someone was telling me to review that and do an episode on incel core, and it's not happening.
I did it. Why not? I did an article on
negative why. XP.
Oh, well, it would attract negative attention, but why? Because you figure...
One, I figured that it's been done to death, and two, I figured you already have a content-minded episode on it.
Yeah, that's true. And I did do an article on negative XP back in the day when I was at WordPress. But I think we should review. You ever heard of one of my fans? I will look up who said. What's his name?
Like, I have been informed that there is like a band called Fluoride Stare or something that wrote a song about Dasha.
Whoa!
Like, what an the internet is a horrible place.
No, but there was a show that was made in Britain, only like 6 episodes in like the early 2000s. It was called Nathan Barley. You ever heard of Nathan Barley?
No.
Oh my God, this show basically predicted what the internet's like nowadays. It's
boy.
One of the best Kino I've ever seen. Maybe we could. It's only like 6 episodes. You can find it on YouTube. Nathan Barley. Maybe we could review it next week.
Found out about them from Fukuyama Black Pill. I'm looking this up.
Whoa! Yeah, put it on screen if you can.
Well, I gotta find out what it is first.
They have a Dasha song, but
from that Kunst Zone. Okay, yeah. Album Fukuyama Black Pill / Structural Dissonance, released last year. Metal. I'll probably listen to this later. I'm sure I don't want to get a strike, but that's interesting.
So it talks about Dasha.
Oh, there's a hold on, because this pops up in the group chat.
If you could find lyrics,
I'm not putting it up.
Let's read these lyrics.
I regret mentioning it because I'm now.
What's the band called?
I'm looking. Hold on, because this is in a chat that I was in earlier. Where is it?
Structural Discourse.
Gio doesn't know about it. I know. I've made a terrible mistake by referencing it.
Yeah, I know. What's
Fried by Fluoride is the band. You can go look this up on your own time.
Fried by Fluoride.
But for that, I think I'm going to go move to the super chats.
Dasha lyrics. Oh my God, it's on Genius Lyrics. Oh my God. Wait, come on. I have to do the if I'm a human or not. Sent a Garfield pic to you. What? Sent a Garfield pic to you. You're so fucking cool. You never open it, and it just makes me sick. I know I'm not. I know I'm the one you need. I'll make you complete. You're the one I want just to go to the. I don't know. It doesn't say.
Thank God.
Never know why, but Dash is cute. I want to have her in my life because and it's all fucked because Dash is a bitch. I sent you stuff, but you won't fucking open it. Why? Like, there's so much. Like, I could make a good. I used to write lyrics for bands. You know?
You could do this, Gio.
I could write a good song about Dasha. I could be like a negative XP style diss track. Be like, you know, Dasha ruined a whole generation of femcells pretending to be Catholic.
You know, you could even do this with another. That could be partnered right up next to a song called "Richard Spencer Has No Friends."
Oh, man. That'd be a great song title. Richard Spencer Has No Friends.
But I asked that question because I tried to explain Curtis Yarvin and the Cathedral, TM books to my Catholic cousin. She got so lost. I mean, I don't. She got so lost. That's the key word. I don't know. Why would I want to sell political philosophy and political science to
listen?
Someone
Dash
like
is
her?
A fake cell. The true cell Catholic, weird, like podcaster queen is Honor Levy. Okay, this Digital Archipelago stands Honor Levy and Wet Brain. And maybe Honor Levy will have me.
Geo stands these people. I don't know who the hell these people are.
She's the real deal. Dash is the fake cell.
Yeah, I don't. Levy. Please be patient. I don't know who these people are. So please
look
don't.
At that one.
Yeah, don't throw this way on me. But yeah, I mean, this is why I think that if you're gonna, I mean, that's art. I mean, that's political philosophy. That's not art. Like, it's not art. I mean, trying to explain political philosophy to like your nice Catholic cousin that like does her own thing. I don't think I don't like unless you're like dealing with it like.
How old is your Catholic cousin default?
She listens to Red Scare Product. I thought she already knew who he was. Oh boy.
Whoa.
Well, there are some women out there for it, and then I think there are some that want a good book or art. Although I wouldn't recommend Nutcranker to any woman that I know in existence. But hey, that's c'est la vie.
She's 28. Okay, that's doable. Is she single default?
You two should take that to the DMs before, this gets any more awkward.
But she does listen to Red Scare, so I don't know. A woman that listens to Red Scare, I don't know. That's kind of you're taking your life into your own hands right there.
I don't either, internet friend. Don't worry.
I should listen to more Red Scare, but I've only listened to like, I don't know. I've listened to more than a few episodes.
I haven't listened to anything.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Lauren DeLonga of OAN News is the one for Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's look this up right here.
Oh boy. What's her name? Lauren. Oh.
She looks like she could listen to Red Scare. Like, it's like the Red Scare listenership has a particular aesthetic.
Just the lady at OAN? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, man. Interesting. I'll look her up.
Life is strange. Life is strange. She's single, but she's black Ethiopian. Oh.
Wait, she's single, but she's black Geo-Ethiopian? How do you have an Ethiopian cousin? How does that work?
I'm going to let you...
Man, this is weird, default. I don't know what you do. Unless you're making an Italian joke, then that's making an Italian joke. I mean, Ethiopians aren't Bantus though. They're totally different. They're default's like, I'm Ethiopian. What?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna move on to super chats, and before we get here way too long.
Okay, yeah.
All right,
we've only got 2 hours though.
Yeah, but I got like another show in a little bit.
Oh, true. Yeah, true.
I've had a meeting with a sponsor. I recorded an episode with Pete Quinones. And then I've got to be on Pat Casey later, and then I got some calls to make. Oh, what is this? Oh, I hit the star on. I should just hit star on the super chats. That's a good point. I accidentally clicked the star. That way, I can just go to the. See, look at me being an absolute moron on air. Many such cases. But
wait,
yeah.
But Star, they don't have all the super chats though.
No. I starred one of them and I didn't
how do you star them?
So you go. So when
The
someone
comment.
does a super chat, right? Like, and they pop up, you can go up there to the show section or hit star. So for instance, right, like
That
the
would save me a lot of time, a lot of dead air.
I know, right? So like the first one comes from Fishy Frenzy for £5. He says, "Hello, Geo. Seems you finally found me. Money for Prude this time." Well,
Oh
thank you,
yeah, I finally
Fishy
found his
Frenzy.
Twitter account.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, see, yeah, if I mutual, yeah, yeah, because I always like see Fishy Frenzy in my notifications, but then I'm like, oh, I should follow him back. But you know, Fishy Frenzy is cool with our favorite anime accounts on Twitter.
I don't follow all that many. So
Well,
who's our favorite?
Fishy, do you have the Smeed Mutual? There are like 50 people that have the Smeed Mutual. So
the much more extreme yet kino right-wing Twitter Spaces.
The coveted Smeed Mutual.
I don't know if they're that coveted.
I remember back in the not anymore. Oh man, I remember back in the day I was one of the few people, and I was like a smaller account too. I was one of the few people that had the Facebook Mutual. You only had like 50 people mutualed. So like, I'm like, man, I'm very honored by that, you know. But anyways, let's move on to the super chat.
Yes. On to the next one. So I just have them starred, so I may have gotten them wrong. But Yanislav for $19.99. Thank you so much.
$20.
Look at you go. I will soon be celebrating my birth in just a few weeks, getting wed. I just wanted to give some funds to help you guys celebrate as well in your lives. Thank you both for the hours of insight and content.
Thank you.
Congratulations and many years, Yanislav, for not only your birthday, but also the fact that you're getting married soon. May God grant you both many years. Congratulations.
Whoa.
Let's see here.
Would you want to get married near your birthday, though? I don't know.
Might make it easier to remember your anniversary. Machiavelli sucks to go for $4.99 US. Do women ever bring peace, or do they only bring demands?
Both. They bring peace and demands, so it's kind of like.
But to have peace also requires a demand.
Yeah, I mean, women are always more complicated than, you know. I mean, yeah, they bring it's funny that way. They bring peace, but also demands.
Yes. Let's see here. Brando Johnson for $20.
$20.
I love how you do that, Gio. Thank you. Mike of Pole sends his regards. Great stream as always. Gents, has Prude seen his diss track yet? I have it in my bookmarks. I have not listened to it yet after the unblocking. So, well, because like, okay, the first time Mike of Pole, I noticed him on Jay Burden. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't watch that episode, and then like I'm tagged in like this massive series of tweets. I saw the one about AA, and then there was like a whole bunch of others where I'm kept getting tagged. I blocked him, made up for that. No, I haven't listened to it yet. I will go do it. The one with Jay Burden was actually like really good. So I presume that these are actually really entertaining.
Oh yeah,
I will do that.
He was on American Excellence recently.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Jacob Brown for $2 US says $2 from California. Enjoy. Well, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Your ongoing support is what makes this show possible. Our good friend Post Nut Clarity, story of our life. For $5 Canadian or $5.50 Canadian. My normie family loves Yellowstone, and I know all about it are the memes. I don't want to ruin it for them. Well, you should always send them that wonderful article from Chronicle. Was it Chronicles or Intellectual Takeout that talked about it? Intellectual Takeout.
Takeout, yeah.
It's a good time. But yeah, even Khalifa K's like both. It's true. Let's check the wonderful times over here. Sam153 for $5 US says thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers, Gio.
I don't know. I kind of don't like Connor McDavid. Just he's arrogant about the fact that he's probably the best right now in the league. But I would want to see the Oilers make the finals. I like Evander Kane. I think he's pretty. It's pretty weird how like, you know, well he's based on the mandatory mandatory juice issue. He was pretty based on that. He faked a waiver, but he's a good fighter, and he reminds me a bit of Darcy Tucker in the fact that he's a goal scorer, but he's also a good enforcer. No, I think the Oilers have a good chance, but I would like to see the Stars go ahead. But the Oilers, it just depends on if they don't like cajole, if the league doesn't cajole things to favor the Golden Knights. And they did win last night, I believe. So, yeah, they got a good shot. But you know, I mean, I don't pay attention that much to the Western Conference. I'm much more of like, I'm more familiar with the Eastern Conference teams. But what do you mean I have the worst take? I don't like McDavid's personality, but he is like genuinely like one of the greats currently. But Evander Kane is a pretty good enforcer. I mean, I know they're probably gonna suspend him for that cheap shot he did. Like he sticked the guy in the neck and then he like started punching him in the ribs. That was pretty wild. But no, I never followed the Oilers that much. I don't know. I'm much more familiar with the Eastern Conference teams, but yeah. But I mean, hey, they got a good chance this year. They might make it to the Cup. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Lord only knows. Our good friend Owen Zaleski has sent us a few for $3 US. He says, "Hello, gents. I won't be able to listen to the whole stream, but please enjoy this little tip. I will keep you all updated on the Substack. Also, shout out to Gio's recent content-minded episode. Do give it a listen." Well, yes, you should go to follow his channel. His links are down below in the description. He just put out. How long is the episode, Gio?
The whole thing's 3 hours, but it's more than almost 2 hours on.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Be sure to go give it a listen. And then he follows up with another $3 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, "If the dissident right puts on a stage play, what would you guys put on and what roles would you perform? A contemporary play, Shakespeare, who would direct the play? Please, guys, I must know." I will give an answer to this and it will be a total
Juliet by Marquis de Sade.
There you my shits for grins answer would definitely be a like overly online interpretation of Stephen Sondheim's Company, because I think that would be hilarious.
Whoa. I don't know. I would have
but really what you should do, I think, is some kind of one of the Greek tragedies.
Yeah, probably. I mean, maybe like a more kind of like that one Canadian film, a more like modern version of Antigone. That would be a good one. Something crazy and abstract. It would be something so like violating of the senses. It would be so offensive and so avant-garde that it would be quite something. And the aesthetic of the play would have to be, the stage props would have to be insane as well. I don't know. I am trying to think. Maybe a rendition of I don't know, maybe a Greek tragedy. I have a lot of ideas for movies though, like that. I have ideas for that, like Kino cinema. But maybe Oedipus. There you go. Oedipus with a mommy GF. That's a good one, Cyber Ninja.
That sounds awful.
Oedipus, but it would be Anna and some Twitter frog.
Yes, but that would imply that that's his own mother.
Yeah, true. But I mean, like, it would be a metaphor, though. It would have to be
a metaphor for stop going after the first woman that looks attractive and says something that you agree with on the internet.
That could be it, yeah.
Men not falling for, woman online challenge impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it auto stars them now. I didn't even star that one, Fishy Frenzy.
Whoa.
Yes, but Fishy Frenzy for £5 says, ouch to your mentor, Gio, with Mr. Lira being arrested, likely to be executed in Ukraine. I was there from that moment. Best thing he ever did.
Yeah, man.
I'll let you go off on that one. I don't know.
I don't have much to say, just but that it's people celebrating. It's like they retook Crimea. Like, it's really like the normie sadism of this whole thing is astonishing. But I mean, the hope is that he would get extradited back to Chile or something. And he may be too much of a public figure to redact. So that's one thing. And they did arrest him before, and they kept him in a room for a few days. They didn't they just questioned him. But I think this time they're more serious because, of course, they're winning though. they're winning Prude. That's why they have to go after Coach Red Pill. So no, the best hope for him is that he will get extradited, hopefully, but we'll see what happens. I hope for the best, obviously. Yeah, but I know, like, I remember like seeing the clip, and like I think it was Matthew that like he like messaged me. He's like, Gio, oh no. I'm like the amount of like normie sadism towards him. Like, I understand, like, even like OG YouTubers that he had business dealings with were like going off on him because like, I'm not gonna lie, like, he's made a lot of enemies. It's just like celebrating his possible redacting is sort of like, wow, was internet drama really that meaningful to you that you're like willing to, but anyways, I pray for him. I hope nothing that bad I hope nothing bad happens to him. I hope he's extradited. I hope his family is safe. Because remember, the reason he was there is because he has a wife and 2 small children. So, yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's a complicated situation. Yeah.
Let's see. Fan Zeng for $5 US. His thoughts and prayers for Twitter. Protect community notes at all cost.
Whoa, yeah, the community notes are killing it. Yeah.
If you want to, like, community notes is great. It's honestly created a John Henry situation between community notes and Steve Saylor. Although, if you can, please go over to Steve Saylor's Twitter account and take a look at his annual Steve Saylor fundraiser. I donated a couple of $1 dues over to him because nothing generates a good writer and great reply guy content than supporting our favorite reply guy, which is Steve Saylor. But yes, I'm dreadfully fearful for the fact that we're about to have a woman CEO of Twitter. And
you never know, she might be all right.
I pray that it's just like his like female dog or something, or this is his way of getting Grimes back. Who knows? But
hey, what happened to Lord Miles? Is Lord, like, what, is there any updates with him?
I have no idea,
man.
No idea. But still, let us hope
I hate to say it, RA9, I agree with that. No one's winning this war, well, except for certain people that are invested in this war. But I don't know. Prude, what do you think of Miles? Is he?
I'm incredibly skeptical.
He's a nice enough guy. But,
I'm sure he's a nice enough guy, but Lord Almighty, does that not scream privatized intelligence asset?
I love if he comes back and like the Taliban releases him, he'll go back to Twitter and he'll like, the first thing he'll text is like, I was captured by the Taliban, and it's still better than going down the streets of London. That's like the first thing he's gonna tweet when he comes back. Hopefully they haven't done anything to him.
Well, so pray for him, I suppose.
Yeah.
But with that, Gio, pending any last minute super chats, what would you like to promote?
Well, I mean, I should go back to locking my account on Twitter to focus on my book. Next week, I think I might release a Scott Mannion episode of Content Minded.
All right.
So we'll see how that pans out. I do have to get back to the genre reviews of Art After Metaphysics. And then when I'm done reading the bulk of the book, I do want to review the Red Book by Young. And by then I'll probably have my patron-only Discord that people have been begging me for. So, yeah. Hopefully that'll be done. It's just like, I got to get my friend to help me with it. I'm not very good at the whole Discord mod thing. So, yeah, hopefully that all works out by then, because then I could actually like coordinate things. But to review the Red Book, I feel like I would want to sell it on Gumroad or something. I don't know. I'd want to like get some, I'd have to promote it sufficiently to be like, okay, if you subscribe to Patreon, you'll be part of it, blah, blah, blah. Internet friend, I exist almost entirely in Discord now. Well, I will give you an invite when I set up the Discord. So there you go. Other than that, I just have to focus on, I will probably be around Twitter less this month and next month, hopefully.
All right.
Yeah. What about you, man? You got tonight with Patrick Casey?
Yes, so I'll be on Patrick Casey.
And Martin and Nightmare Vision.
It'll be a
It'll
be a blast. It'll be
Maybe
great.
I could make a special guest appearance. I don't know. That's a crowd though. Like four guests are a crowd.
Yeah.
It would give me flashbacks of Follow the Rules.
Oh Lord. Indeed. So yeah, no, by all means, so I've been rather busy on Substack. I wrote a really good article yesterday on sort of the state of Twitter and what Tucker Carlson is doing. There's also a wonderful article on Steve Sobrin, which I've been writing about. We'll be finishing that next week, his 2-part review and commentary on Notes for the Reactionary of Tomorrow. And if you want to hear more of a discussion on Joseph Sobrin, then by all means head over to Chronicles magazine. I had a lovely hour or so long conversation with CJ Engel about Sobrin and his works and why younger people on the right should be reading his lengthy essays, because some of them are very hard to find. In fact, you have to go to our Marna forums to find one of those articles that he wrote. So by all means, there's plenty of stuff in the pipeline. Prudent Observations is coming back this Saturday, so we talk about the Davidson window. And then all that and more coming soon. The Digital Archipelago will be live on Gio's channel next week. There will be an article review this weekend for patrons, and Patron Book Club will be reviewing Alan Bloom's The Closing of the American Mind this Saturday on the 20th of May. So plenty of stuff to keep us all busy. And if you are a channel member, subscribe, star backer, or Substack supporter, you have access to all of these contents for just $2 a month. You can keep this frog going. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all next week. I will see you all later this afternoon on Patrick Casey's channel, and we'll see you on Gio's channel next week.
And listen to Content Minded, the newest episode on both on Patreon, Substack. The free version is on YouTube and Anchor, Spotify Anchor. And I like the title of it. It's called Based World Can Wait, because the Boyd Rice song Disneyland Can Wait. I had a take on Disney that we didn't get to, but maybe next week. There's Patrick in the chat giving a smooch. So
I love the fact that you can reply on Twitter now with any emoji in the chat.
Yeah, man, I could use my favorite ones. I could use the cringe one. I could use the guy that I really love.
Patrick Casey can never escape the smooches.
Exactly. I really love the one with like just the slits and like the face that's like 3 lines, because that is like a Zen emoji. That is like you are accepting the machinations of the world arising and ceasing. The one, where it's just 3 slits. I love that one. Give smooches in the chat for Patrick Casey as we live as well. As we live
and breathe. So with that, we will see you all next week on Gio's channel.
Oh yeah. I know about Kunson.